Hello and welcome to the Nash Tackle Off the Hook podcast. Just to make you aware, this podcast may contain some explicit/offensive language, and if that's not your thing, you don't have to listen, but I have given you a warning. I hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
You don't know the half of it, but anyway. I'm skating on the thinnest ice known to man.
He said, and they put a poison in the tank that just instantly kills them. He went and we'd run out of it, so we cut their heads off with shovels.
Suddenly, bang! The whole boat exploded.
Take your sort of 8-inch long piranha and imagine that at 4, 5, maybe 6 feet.
I said, I've revived your dead fish. F off, he said. You haven't.
That was just humongous. It was... I couldn't believe what I was looking at.
I'm just battling this fish out in the pond. I know it's a black man. I'm saying I'll never be a naughty boy again.
If you catch fish and you return them to the water, then you are my brother.
Lee Pettit, welcome to the Nash podcast. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm all good. It's good to see you again.
Mate, thank you very much. I've taken a break from the studio and I am staring outside of one of your luxury lodges. Probably the finest. They're all pretty good. It's absolutely hacking it with rain. And despite that, I wish I had a rod out at the moment because it would probably interrupt this interview, wouldn't it, mate?
Yeah, Jackie Pool is a bit special, done after my memory of my mum. But we'll probably get into that a bit later on.
We are, mate. You've obviously Westmoor Farm Fishery, SR Fishery Limited, unbelievable array, complex variety of lakes that you've dug over a really short period of time and incredible work. And we're going to come on to that, as you said. But we are going to focus also on your fishing, which is varied but ridiculously impressive. Some of the biggest fish out there on the continent you've held, mate, and I've seen incredible photos, and we're going to talk about all that. First and foremost, though, what have you been up to recently? Have you been doing any fishing?
Not really. I've got a trip coming up soon to Croatia summer, which I'm looking forward to. And hopefully when I'm easing off the work a little bit, I'm going to do a bit more of my big fishing. That's the plan. I did fish a special lake this week for 48 hours and blanked in style. It's the first time I've fished it for a year because I have to book on and it's that busy. So it was my week this week and I managed to get sort of 48, 72 hours in, but blanked in style.
The rewards are there though, mate.
They're definitely there, yeah. That's the pool for it. A lot of fish. There's 69 fish in there now, 37 different 30s, and 5 different 40s up to mid-40s, and the oldest fish is 11 years old. So, yeah.
Wow, geez.
But again, like I said, we'll talk about the complex a bit later.
Yeah. For you, mate, in terms of fishing, we'll start with, your sort of fishing journey, synonymous for me when I've looked at it from the outside perspective from talking to you briefly about chasing big carp on the continent, but obviously there's a UK base for your fishing, I'm guessing. Talk to me about that.
So, born on the Isle of Wight, started what most people don't do these days. I started fishing rivers, float, eels, dace, that sort of stuff. My first dabble into carp fishing was a sort of bit of a surprise. I was probably 13-ish. Stood on an iron bridge with a float trying to catch some perch, and the old float drifted away and it got smashed up by a carp. Well, I didn't know it was a carp at the time, but it's something bigger than I've ever seen before. It's probably only 6-7 pound, but it was massive. And then from that point on, I got hooked into carp fishing, and that's when my journey started. I was lucky enough to, as I lived on the Isle of Wight, some good friends that went to Fishery College. Tim Oatley, he's called the Governor, I think he is, on the Isle of Wight now.
The Governor?
The Governor, yeah, because he sort of rules the carp fishing on the Isle of Wight. Well, he's probably done more for the carp fishing on the Isle of Wight than anyone else has. So I became friends with him. So he started my fishing journey on the Isle of Wight. And introduced me to carp fishing. I remember sending him 50 quid, and he went and bought me my tackle box and my hooks and my rigs and
all your terminal bits,
at the time, and it went from there.
What year is this, mate? Give me some context.
So
time.
How old am I now? I'm 53, so I was 18. So
right, some time ago,
27 years ago, is it?
What was fishing on the Isle of Wight like at the time? I'm no way an expert on the fishing of Isle of Wight now at all, mate. I don't think I've ever fished there. But for me, it's probably not synonymous with
they probably wouldn't let you in on the ferry. You need a passport and stuff like that. So
good from you, mate. But it's probably not synonymous with sort of big, specie carp fishing for me. What was it like in reality at that time?
Yes, then there wasn't. So probably the island record was, I think, was in a place called Halcombe. Tim will be listening to this at some point and cursing me because I've got all the information wrong. But it was about £21, I think, from Halcombe when I started fishing. So a 20-pound fish at that point was big on the Isle of Wight, and probably only sort of 2 lakes with lots of little match lakes, to the point where it is now. There's probably the best carp fishing, I would say, virtually in England on the Isle of Wight in a small area, because there's some big fish on the Isle of Wight.
Yes.
Lakes that we've started and that Tim started, and the projects that have been put in place. There's some, most of them exclusive with you can't sort of talk about them.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough, because they're mint. But there's some good fishing on the Isle of Wight now.
But that fishing and that sort of size of carp has come from work that Tim and you guys have done. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely stocking. Okay. We started a lake on the Isle of Wight, which I can talk about a little bit, Monk's Pool, probably 27 years ago as a field. And we stocked that with some heather fisheries, Simo's fish back in the day at £3 to £4. And those original fish within sort of 4 to 5 years were touching 30s. Bear in mind the Isle of Wight record was £21 back then. And 2 years, and then, it's done 40s and 50s, and plenty of them. But, we never ever stocked anything big. I know you've done podcasts with the fishery farmers, so, and they will say, C3, C4 is the best fish to stock if you can.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. But they have just thrived, and they thrive.
What do you think that is?
Good environment, looked after, not so much pressure. Some of it's bait, but not definitely monks and blackwater. Yeah, they see a little bit of bait from anglers and a little bit of feed, but most of it is, just good water quality. Obviously, down south, right down south, the water temperature is a little bit warmer for longer. So the growing season is a little bit bigger for the fish to grow, because the water temperature stays up a little bit. But good fishery management, I would have said, is the main thing. Decent close seasons. I mean, monks is people probably think it's ridiculous, but the day they spawn the monks, and they already have, the lake shuts for 16 weeks.
16 weeks.
16 weeks. So they're not fished for from normally somewhere around in May, and they don't open till October.
Wow.
But the fish are perfect. They're in perfect condition. You're never catching a fish that was 40 and now is 36 because it spawned. You're catching a fish that, was 40 and is now £42 after spawning, and they've gone through that bit of not getting caught. A fish that gets caught, 9 times out of 10, they're sulking. So they don't eat. If they don't eat for 2 weeks and you've only got a growing season for 16 weeks, that's a lot of time out. So if they go through the recovery phase without being fished for or angled or caught, and the stress levels are getting caught and stuff like that, then you can end up with bigger fish.
Wow, mate, 16 weeks. That's that's done me, mate.
Yeah, I mean, who would think of paying £500 for a season ticket and then being told you can't fish for 16 weeks?
It'd be interesting to see if you could implement that over these shores, mate, but I think it might be a bit busy. It might kick off.
Yeah.
But it's good, obviously, clearly by the fish.
Yeah.
It's doing the fish the world.
It's sort of a case of you like it or you don't like it, but look, every time you go fishing, you're fishing for something that's better than it was last caught or it's last been caught. Isn't it? You're never fishing for a fish that's been battered about or down in weight. It's always perfect.
You're on the island, boy, so you ain't got a lot of choice.
Yep. There's plenty of choice. Always people that want you to come and fish it and pay you money to come and fish it, and it was never about money. Monks was always about producing something that was special that the island didn't have, and I think that's set the scene for lots of different lakes on the island now that are, there's probably 3 or 4 lakes on the Isle of Wight now. We've got 50s.
Wow.
Maybe bigger.
Back to you fishing.
Yeah.
On the Isle of Wight.
So I started on the river, so I got friendly with Tim. I get obsessed with everything I do, so as soon as I got fishing with Tim, I'm sending Tim the 50 quid, and then probably the next week I was sending him when we go to France. I never even fished a lake, if you know what I mean, in England. So I was like, I'm watching the videos and that stuff. But yeah, so we started. I fished the lakes on the island that were there, but they were syndicates, and obviously I was a new boy on the block, so I couldn't get onto the syndicates. So it was a case of going day tickets. And the only place I could get a day ticket was I used to go jump on the ferry, and we used to come over to your world, as you call it.
To Blighty. Go on, the boys. Where'd you go?
So it was Ringwood Way.
Right.
So we started off in a little place called Sway. It's a little, basically on an organic farm with a nice lake in it, Sway Day Ticket Lakes. And nothing big, long stretchy lake, biggest cast, 30, 40 yards. But, you could get on it, and it was good. It had 20s and 30s in it. So I think we went there managed to get on there. There's only about 10 day tickets on there. We got on there. From day one, I got taught quite a lot, but I was never as good as, say, like, what you want to call it, technically good as Tim and some other anglers. but I thought outside the box.
Did you?
My methods were, in my mind, even back there 27 years ago, I'll do something different to what they do, because I think that's right. So you used to turn up at Sway, far margin was 30 yards. Everyone chucked to 30 yards. There was an island. Everyone chucked to the island.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I turned up, put some baits on, put my hooks on. Well, everyone fishes over there. So between me and there's 20 yards. I'm going to fish 20 yards in the middle, drop my rods in. And I can remember walking up the bank with, 4 fish over 20 pound. So my friend Tim, who was fishing a swim called the Spooky Tree, and saying, I've got one. And going back again and saying, I've got one. Keep dragging him out of bed. And I think that's what always through my fishing, I've been different in that way. Some people are very technically gifted in what they do, and everything they do is perfect. I wouldn't say what I do is perfect, but I do analyse what's in front of me and make my assumptions what things are. And as we go through this, I'll probably sort of prove to you a few times why I think I'm right and why I've probably caught. First of all, let me say, I don't go fishing to catch big fish. I go fishing because I love fishing. I don't care if it's a 20, 30, 40, 50, but if I catch a big fish, it's good. And I've been lucky enough to catch some big fish.
You've caught some big ones, boy.
So, but, I wouldn't have said, people have said to me before, oh, you're just lucky. Yep, I am lucky. But I make my own luck as well at the same time.
Where do you think that comes from, that sort of... Because you're young, you're an angler, you're always relatively impressionable. You talked about seeing videos there and being influenced by all that, and Tim being a factor in your life and him fishing very much as most people would fish and you fishing differently. Has it always been something in your character to do that, to be outside the box, to trust your own instincts?
Probably it's because I don't think I can compete with them at their level because I'm not that good enough. Right. So I make my own level. And if that level produces those fish, or what I was after, then who am I to argue? Yeah. I mean, I've seen people criticise and laugh at me or what I'm doing, but I'm normally laughing on the other side of the face when I leave the lake. But that's not boasting. It's just
how it is.
And I going back to Tim. Probably I can look at Tim's fishing and start thinking, bloody, I wish I could fish like he did. But he probably admit that he's not. I've caught the amount of bigger fish of High's dad, and we've had many conversations saying, "Why do you think it's this?" And I've said why I think it is, and it's because I'm not
doing the same.
Yeah, I'm not doing. But he's probably caught twice as many really good fish as me, And he was always say top rod on the trips, or he always took the sweepstake.
Yeah,
but I was taking the one for the
bigger.
I wasn't interested in catching loads of fish. I can't think of anything worse than going on a fishing holiday, because that's what it is to me. It's a holiday. Everything. I can't think of anything going on and having 100 takes and not sleeping all week and not doing anything. I'd happily take 2-3 takes and they would be bigger. So,
right. So there is that big fish mentality in there as well. Yeah, but
I'd go away and catch, say, a 40, a 50 or maybe a 60. And I'll be just as happy to come back to England and catch a 10-pounder on a float. I think I know loads of people again that go away, catch a 40, and they don't fish in England because they can't. At the time they can't catch a fish bigger than that. Fishing is fishing to me. It's everything. Being out, angling, doing everything, meeting mates. Making new memories and that sort of stuff. But yeah. So anyway, went to Sway, did that. Probably I had a young family at the time. I think we'd just been born, but it didn't stop me. And she was either pleased to get rid of me or pleased not to. I don't know. The youngster, which is Jack, is my eldest. I just kept on going. I badgered everybody who would fish on the Isle of Wight. Can we go away? Can we go away? Can we go away?
So it was always away trips, yeah?
Yeah, because I couldn't really fish on the island because it was all syndicates.
And you couldn't
let's start getting in. And I was a new boy, so why should they let me fish their nice syndicates that they've got? But obviously with Tim, I managed to get on a few of them, and then eventually I got off the syndicates. So I got on the syndicates, started catching some fish again, but just obsessed. I worked for the water board at the time on the Isle of Wight, and they won't stop my pension now, but I probably spent more time at the, baiting up at the lakes and putting bivvies up on different lakes when I got on these lakes and baiting up. I love bait. I've always fished with lots of bait.
Yeah?
Lots of bait. So, people will go and they put a kilo in, and I go down and put 10 kilo in a spot that no one catches fish from, but it's just what I did.
It's interesting, isn't it? The results, all sort of contrasting that type of angling that you found in UK waters, you talked about sway, and then back on those syndicates in on the Isle of Wight. What was it? Was it similar fishing? Was it more difficult on those syndicates? Did you find more pressure or busier nature in the UK? What was it like?
So How Common, which is the main syndicate with the lake record in, excuse my French, beat my arse.
Did it?
It really did, but it made me a better person for it. I mean, because I was going away thinking, I can catch this, I can catch that. I'm always getting fish. I think I did 28 nights on the syndicate on a 2-acre lake before I caught a fish.
2 acres?
Yeah, 2 acres. And everybody else was catching every weekend. I was there every weekend. I was obsessed. I was baiting them. And then it just clicked. Caught my first fish, I think. I think I took my young lad, and he was 2.5. I remember sleeping on the floor in the bivvy next to him on a thing and having my first fish, from Howe, and he was laid on my side, and I didn't know whether I could hit the rod or he was going to roll out of the bivvy because
that's dedication. That mate.
Yeah, I mean, I've got pictures of Jack. I think it was the '88 World Cup T-shirt and a baby grow on a lake with me. So and then I caught. And then
tactically, anything different to that capture or not? You just
probably fished where I shouldn't have fished.
Right, one of those.
Literally, yeah, really tight. I know probably that first fish I fished where I should have, not where I shouldn't have fished. So I shouldn't say that. Where I fished where everybody else would fish.
Yeah.
So I gave up on my plan that I was going to catch a fish from this certain spots that I kept baiting all week, and I was supposed to be at work. And this weekend I decided I was going to put it where everyone else put it, basically, and I caught. No. And then from there onwards, I then caught from the spots that I had been baiting up, and it's just all. I think it's a confidence thing. It's just yeah, definitely. It was just I needed that first fish. I could go to other lakes and I would catch, but damned if I couldn't. It was telling me to calm down. You've just started carp fishing, which what everyone does these days. They always want to catch a 20, 30 or 40. Yeah. I wasn't interested in catching 20, 30, 40 because they weren't there. I was £20. I wanted the lake record. I think this is probably a fish called Blue, I think it was at the time. And I just wanted to catch a fish. I caught it.
Did you?
Yeah. And then eventually, where did we go from then? So yeah, that was probably a year in.
Was that the record at the time when you caught it?
No, it wasn't. It was spawned out.
Okay. It
was spawned out. At that time, that's the way the lakes were run then. They were open,
crack on.
Didn't shut,
Yeah.
I had it at less weight. I remember having my lad's christening, wetting the baby head of my second child, and we had a party down the lake. And in the lake at the time, the swims were, I was always good for, I always loved to digger, always loved to swim. So I used to dig how I got onto most of the memberships, because I used to go and do work.
The swims, I
can drive digger, I'll dig a swim. So we dig this big bunker out, it's about 5 foot down into the sand to make this swim. And I bought 5 or 6 tarpaulins and put it over the top of it, and we had a social underneath it and fishing. And with music and a barbecue, and people just not off their head, but they were just drunk. And yeah. And I had my rods out.
Did you?
Yeah, in the swim next year, and I did. I had a PV common, I think it was bowl belly at the time, which was 20. I think it was just over £20. Fish called bowl belly.
Big for that, mate.
Yeah. But everyone else was like sleep. I'd had a drink, but I never used to drink too bad.
You love it, mate, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. And again, it was just our generators sat out in the field. And I pinched from the waterboard and running extension leaders over to watch the TV or the football, what was everyone. And it was, back then, it wasn't really heard of. It's not what the members did, but I was obsessed and I did whatever I could do to do what I could do. But we eventually moved on from Sway, and we managed to get some night tickets on another lake near the Roach Pit.
Okay.
Can't remember what it's called now, the name of the lake. But got obsessed with that. So every weekend it was on the ferry and off the thing, take someone else from the Isle of Wight just so we could go fishing. Brought an old van, did it up. You could only just drive, but I could get 3 or 4 people stuff in it. And we started going there. This is probably 3 or 4 years into my carp fishing. And now I've managed to go to France.
Is that your first trip?
So my first trip, I've said to Tim again, because obviously he's done a couple of trips with the Carp Society and things like that he was a member of back then, to a little lake in France. I said, Tim, I really want to go to France. Let's go. He said, yeah, all right. I said, we'll sort something out. So we're looking through the magazines, and I found this one. I thought it was called Bullencourt, which is now called Lahore, which is quite famous. But back in the day, then it was a bit more of a fish farm, because it's always been a fish farm. But yeah, so that's it. We're going to France. Again, Oh, we're going to France. How are we getting to France? I think Tim's got a little Corsa or a little Escort. I've progressed to an XR3i. So we've stripped my XR3i out, back seats out. Obviously, all the fishing gear in the back, in the things, 60 or 70 kilos of particle. There's no fresh water at the lake, so I think one of the things we bought is some gadget off of eBay, which you put in the water and you pump through. There's loads of them about nowadays, and then the water comes out clear.
Right.
So you could drink it. So we could drink water.
Like a purifier.
Yeah, like a purifier. But I mean, I tried it in what was my mum's swimming pool then, which was completely green, and it worked. But I couldn't bring myself to drink it, even though it looked clear. Because so we took enough. We took some water with us, what we could fit in the XR3i with all our bivvies and everything like that. So we trundled off down into France. I've booked the lake with the French owner. Don't know really what to expect. Told we got to get there about 10:30, 11:30. Pulls up on a road outside of this derelict house that looks like something out of Dracula's movie. But a lake that I've never seen, nothing like it, probably 30, 40 acres. Bear in mind, I'm fishing 2 acre lakes. I'm thinking, oh my God. And we've looked at the swim list and stuff like that. And there's people running everywhere, running into the house and running out of the house. And we think, what the hell's going on here? And we're sort of sat in the car because it's 9:30. We're not supposed to be there till 10:30. Little do we know that it was a free-for-all for the swims.
Oh, was it first come, first serve?
So we've been sat there watching everyone go in and out, and
Duffers.
Oh, what we done? So walks into the damp room, and there's some bloke there, and he goes, "Bonjour, Monsieur Pettit." And I go, "Ah, yeah, les gens petits." He went, "You're not French." He said, "I reserve you best peg because you were French."
Oh, touch.
I said, "You're in peg 7. You're not French." "No, I'm English. But, my name is Lee John Pettit." But he obviously took it as Le Jean Petit on the email.
Which is what I nearly did at the start. You said, don't say petit. I'm not French.
So that was a running joke. So, yeah, we got the best peg on the lake, basically.
Because he thought you were French?
Because we were French. It's reserved it. It's all these people running in and out. It didn't make a difference. That's good. In his mind, he had reserved the best peg for us because we were French.
That is brilliant, mate. You got to be using any advantage you can get.
I didn't mean to do it, but it stuck from then. And obviously, a few lakes after that, I always said I was Lee Jean Petit.
If you said it, it's different to him just assuming.
Yeah, that's right.
Was it the best peg?
I think it was because John is spelled Jon. So they and Le Jean Petit. They missed the T out, and it looks like it's French, doesn't it? But yeah, so we got the best peg, supposedly on that lake, which is peg 7, right in the middle. Biggest walk from where you park your car, like halfway along a forest bank with wild boar. Obviously, didn't know about bowers in those days.
No.
So we got round to the far car park, and there was like a massive Tesco's or B&Q trolley thing that you could use to put your stuff on. But we had our stuff everywhere because we couldn't put bags in. It was just
loose.
Loose. So we was backwards and forwards on this trolley for probably 5 hours trying to get to peg 7. With her stuff, which was a pontoon, a wooden pontoon in the middle of a load of reeds. Amazing view, looking at more reeds and stuff like that. Got set up, it poured a rain, a bit like today. It was so wet, it was ridiculous. And we both sat in our bivvies that we'd screw down to the platforms, like watching the wood and the screws ping out and holding on to stuff. We were soaked, and we sort of said to Tim, "Oh God, I don't want to catch a fish like this and like this." And I shouldn't have said it because I think it was 22 fish later.
No.
That night we did every close we had, every bit of thing we had. Couldn't keep a rod on the pods. There were nothing massive back then, but, I think...
One after the other.
Up to 23, sort of 16, 70 pounds. And we had like 6 rods out. We couldn't keep them out. I was stood in the lake playing fish with waders and netting Tim's fish as it was coming past me in the waders to go into the reed bed. It was just carnage. And we sat there the next morning... Lucky enough, and first time I've been to France, lucky enough, it stopped raining and we managed to dry stuff out, and it carried on all week. I think we had 80 fish.
Oh.
But I don't think we had a 30. But at the time, I think the record in there was about £36. But, we had them up to, I think I managed a couple of 20s. Tim, as normal, I think I had 26 fish and Tim had 66, which is just normal. So he caught a lot, he caught.
Yeah, more.
I think the way he fished.
How did you fish it?
Triangles, a bait. So you could virtually see the fish like a riverbed. This side of the riverbed, we just had a point, a triangle, filled the triangle in, one at the point, one each side, one in the middle. Just fished that area and just kept just doing it that way.
Range or not?
No, couldn't fish at range. It wasn't good enough.
I was going to say.
But again, going back to that, I couldn't fish where some of them told you to fish. But so we baited heavily, brought it this side.
Brought it where you could fish
it. Yeah,
it.
where we could fish it to it and did. But at one point we did get fed up of seeing fish about 200 yards away, 250 yards, and there was another big reed bed behind that was acres and acres of reeds, and you could almost see the reeds move as the fish come out of an evening to feed. Well, a bit of a stroke puller.
Yeah.
Ish, not nasty strokes, but I thought, how am I going to get to those fish? You could have a boat, but you could only cast from the thing. You couldn't drop by the boat. So you
could bait up with your boat.
You bait up with your boat, but you couldn't try. So we came up with this plan. I wanted to catch a French common, first of all, and it was getting to the point where you could go out in the boat, you could see the fish feeding, and you could drop your rig and you'd get a take. So I said to Tim, so when you go out, I said,
spot a common,
drop it a common. Went out, dropped a bait before he even got back to the bank. I had a take on the rod and I had a common. I said, this is hilarious. Like, we've got this, they're on it.
Yeah.
But anyway, it got hot. The fish sort of started feeding a bit. I kept looking out to these far reeds. I thought, if I could fish those far reeds, we'd be nailing it. Well, about 220 yards, there was a monk, a concrete monk in the middle of the lake where they used to drain it because it's a fish farm.
Right.
So I decided that I'd go and sit on this monk and cast my rod, and I wasn't breaking the rules.
What, in the middle of the lake?
Yeah, because you said you had to cast, didn't it? So as long as you can't.
That's a Mickey
you can't drop for the boat. So we thought we'd go and sit on this monkey bit, but it didn't happen. We didn't catch anything.
You didn't?
No. And we went back round for shower, I think day Wednesday or something, with a purifier. We wasn't too sure about it. We'd had a bit of shits, and we went round to go and have a shower, and it was like having a shower in a prison cell block with a drip coming out of the wall, and you sort of sat there, but it was fresh. So I went round and had the shower on the Wednesday or the Thursday it was, and got a bit freshened up, come out, and the French bloke comes out, he goes, Monsieur Pettit and Lou Pettit. He goes, yes, I know, sort of thing. And he said, you not catch no more fish. And I went, pardon? What? He went, that's literally what he just said. What do you mean, what? I won't catch fish. We've had 80.
Yeah,
we kind of think. He said, the fish make love tonight. You not catch no fish. And I went back to the swim and said to Tim about it, and he goes, he's having a laugh. So no, he tells me the fish are going to make love tonight. He said, really? And anyway, so we set a trap out, get the triangle out, put the bait up. And it used to be just as it started getting dark, it used to start.
Oh, right, so your bites were night time?
Yeah, all the way through the night. And got 6 o'clock, it's just going dark, we've had a dinner, made sure we're all ready because we know the form, we're not going to have anything. Rods didn't go. Got to about 8 o'clock, and you could still see the far reeds. And the next thing, it was like the reeds were waving. And it was the fish making love. It literally started spawning in the reeds that they were saying. And we never caught another fish.
Do you have on remote control? What's he on?
It was crazy. He obviously, as a fishery manager, he knew. So that was our first French trip, which is good. And then I obviously got a bit more. I like this French stuff, this European stuff. This is good, you know what I mean? We can do some more trips of this. Again, used to badger everyone. We used to try and get 1 or 2 trips in a year. And we started fishing different lakes in that region, down the Limoges region. Again, had some good results. Fished a place called Montpere with another really good friend of mine, Spencer Wright. He taught me a lot. And we caught, we started catching 30s, and I caught a couple of 40s. But again, I was fishing different, someone said to me, you won't catch fish doing that. You've got to do it like this way. It was like...
Bit of a red flag to a bull.
Yeah, probably, I don't know. I don't know if it's the right thing or wrong thing, but, I was sort of a stubborn person as such, and I was doing all right how I was doing. I was going to carry on doing what I was doing, and I was going to carry on thinking my angling.
Was it UK-wise, your PB, would it come from one of those syndicates? Was it about 20
Yeah, eventually, I was the common, that bull belly was my PB at the time.
Tactically, when you go across to France here, and you talked about gradually going places where you're catching 30s and 40s,
yeah.
Are you changing the way you fish? Are you doing anything?
Yeah, probably. I went large.
Okay.
Bait. Just lots and bait. That was my thing, and when, people used to go on like holidays with us and they'd order 20 or 30 kilos. Mine was 60, 70, 80 kilos. You know, and I wouldn't think nothing to, as they used to rephrase it to me, and my terminology was the bucket rig. So I'd go out of a black bucket full of bait and tip it on the spot.
Yeah.
You know, where they were H blocking, fishing the centre of the H blocks, you know, prodding sticks, you know, and doing that sort of stuff. I'm going to go out there and fill it in. That's my feature. You know what I mean? I used to go jump a little bit. So I found a place called Telliatts.
Yes.
And again, Tim used to organise the trips on Telliatts.
Just the same Telliatts that we know about to this day.
It is, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, but a long time ago now, sort of 14, 15 years ago. And I can't remember what happened. I eased off the fishing a little bit. I think it's my family at the time, whatever, work or whatever. And I missed a few trips to Telliatts. So I didn't get on the first 2 trips, whole late bookings they used to do to Telliatts. But I was monitoring. I knew, you know, I needed to get back on it because there was the fish they were catching was immense, you know what I mean? And it sounded a nice lake. Got on the trip, started going on the trips to Telliatts, where I started catching some big fish. You know, I mean, well, yeah, it's a commercial, but you still got to catch them. And then plenty of people weren't catching them, but I seemed to catch them. And my record on there was immense, really. I had lots of 60s, 70.
And do you think that was down to that bait heavy, those being quite bait dominant, those bigger fish coming in?
I used to come out. I used to be hopeless at draws. So we set.
I hate draws, mate.
So like we take 13 people and there was 15 swim. 13, 11, 12, 13. That was me. But my man's mentality was, yeah, okay, it's not a brilliant draw, but my plan was, I don't know, I had this theory about the bait. Put more bait in, you're going to catch bigger fish, the big fish, the pigs.
Yeah.
So if I put more bait in, I'm going to catch bigger fish. So I didn't matter if I didn't come out 1, 2, 3, 4 in the draw, because that's where the shoal of fish was, in my opinion. That's done 20 bites, but they had the big one. So I basically brought this theory in my mind that the big fish were not with the pack.
Yeah,
was my first theory. So I wanted to know. Everybody else wanted to know the week before, and they were sending messages where the fish being caught from. So when they did the draw, they know we need to choose. Well, I wasn't interested in where the fish were. I was interested in where the fish were going to go to in that week, or if they wasn't going to go, if they was going to stay where they were. I didn't want to be on the fish. I wanted to be off the fish because I think the big girls don't like the stress of all the other fish, the manic feeding. They just want to eat. You know, they don't want to compete with 20 other fish to get the food. They'd rather sit off the pack and eat easily.
Without the competition.
Yes.
Yeah.
So coming out late in the draw, as such, was disappointing, but not disappointing. It just meant I stayed to my plan. Because if I come out first in the draw, I'd be like, oh my God, what do I do now?
Would you want, that's what I was going to say to you, would you want to, if you came out first, drop on that pack of fish, or would you deliberately pick away from them?
I'd pick away from them.
Right.
Because that was this. And the other biggest factor, I think, about the big fish that I caught from Telliatts and then has stood me in features going forward is that I think, this is my opinion, that the bigger fish fed on the shallowest areas in each swim.
Really?
This is just my theory. And obviously I did well.
How shallow at Telliatts?
Then not shallow, but it was the shallowest bits in that swim.
Right.
So you could be in a swim, say, with 17 foot, and then there'd be a feature in that swim at 8 foot.
And that would be the spot?
That I would be looking for.
That would do you a big one? It
did. It really did. And, but you get in a swim and the bailiff was saying fish there, 80, 90, 80 yards, and I'd get out of my boat and my echo sound and go out and have a look around and what the bloody hell's that? 20 yards to the bank. It's 5 foot. It's 9 foot over there and 8 foot over there and 6 foot over there. And that's what I'd fish there. And I had fish. But I didn't have numbers, but they were always good fish, There wasn't many times I come away from there and didn't have the biggest fish pot or was very close to it or had one of the big, so I had the A-team. I had most of the A-team out of there in 10 trips or something. But just as a comparison, Tim would have records, but Tim's probably in those 12 trips had 140 fish. I had 50, but I might have had 8 60s, 2 70s and an 80.
Did you have? You didn't have an 80.
I did an 83, the long common.
That common, that Ollie, I think Ollie's had the same common in the video. Yeah,
yeah. I think he had it just before me. To be fair, I had it in my early days when I first started there. About 71, I think it was. It was one of my repeat catches, and obviously I didn't mind to have it. Amazing fish.
God,
ridiculous.
That is an absolute worldie, mate, of a fish.
Yeah, it is. You know, yes, it's in a commercial, and it come out once every week or once every week, but you still got to catch it. And yeah, loved it. But again, when I caught it from that spot again, the shallowest spot.
Would it fight like? Because it looks like it beats the life.
Yeah, it does. It fit well. Both times I had it, it was like, I think the first time I had it, I thought it was a marlin. It was just ridiculous. I was out in a boat, and like, it was just a boat battle. It was epic. I just didn't think I was ever going to, even when it surfaced about 40 yards from the boat on the flat on the surface on its side, I thought, that ain't a carp.
Yeah, it's a sturgeon.
It's a sturgeon. It's massive. You know what I mean? What's that? You know, and it was really long. Obviously, it was called the long common.
Yeah, it's unreal carp in it, mate.
It is. Very nice carp.
Rigs, where were you on them? Simple. I can't imagine you being very like.
No, I wasn't technical. No. And I still, like, even now, I use ready tie rigs now. Obviously, sometimes like ready tie, but the ready tie rigs that are made by someone who knows what he's doing and such. And not that I can't tie them. I'm not. I don't think.
That's not it. Yeah,
no, 90% of my angling, and it's a blowback rig. You know,
is it match the hatch bait?
I'd go from using the 30mm hook bait to a 12mm hook bait. If they were using small baits, I'd use big baits. If they were using big baits, I'd use small baits. I didn't want to catch what everyone else caught because I thought I was doing well catching how I was catching. I was catching the bigger fish, so I carried on.
Not pop-ups?
Very rarely. Snowmen, you know, back then it was. You know, Christ, I can't remember for the first time I used the bloody hinge stiff. I don't know. Probably fishing Yateley. That's back in England when I started fishing a bit more in England. I don't think, you know, it's blowback rig. It was easy. You know, or knotless knot. You know, it's just a knotless knot rig with no tubing, you know, and it was, to me, it was where I put my bait.
Yeah.
Not what, you know.
Not the gubbins.
No, as long as it was sharp.
Yeah.
You know, and I used to always, you know, again, Tim taught me I never put the same hook out twice. If I caught a fish, I got a new hook on. But yeah, but going back to Telliatts, so another friend I met out there, he's quite famous as such in the fishing, got loads of big fish, a person called Colin Scouser. He was obsessed with the place. I mean, you know, it wasn't a cheap trip back then. It was £800-900 a trip. And I think I'd done 10 and he was up to 27 trips. Jeez. He lived there, you know what I mean? And he caught some good fish, but he hadn't caught the long common.
Yeah.
And we talked, and you know, he was like, well, how comes you've only had 50 fish, but you've had all these 60s and a 70 and an 80? So, you know, I'm on like 250 fish, and I've had some big fish. But he said, but the 18. I go through. He had the 18, but he's done, you know, 3 times minute trips as me. He said, what are you doing different? And I said to him, he phoned me on I think it was a Tuesday morning. He was sat in the Crescent swim. I messaged him saying, how you getting on, mate? He said, yeah, not too bad. You know, I've had a couple, you know, big as 40, something like that. And we started talking. I said, right, Cole, I'm going to tell you again. I said, you're in the Crescent. I said, like, really good swim, one of the most popular swims on there. I said, where are you catching from? He said, oh, normal spots, just out in front, just to the left, just to the right. So we'll go out on the boat, find the shallowest spot.
Bait the granny out of it.
Bait the annie out. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, I'm convinced that, you know, that long common, specifically, is a massive fish. It was easier for it to feed in shallower water than it was in deep water. Just, it was easier for it to do it. You know what I mean? It was less energy for it. It could just go down. It could scoff away. Yeah. But like technical people would fish, they'd find that feature and they'd probably fish at the bottom of the base of that feature, because that's where the things. But yeah, that's where most of the fish go. So most of the fish, that big fish don't want to compete. He wants to scoff. And 3.5 hours later, he messaged me and said, I've had the long common.
Joking.
No, and he had it from the shallow spot.
Have you found that trend in other venues in France? That shallow feature venue?
I'm always looking for that feature. I'm always looking for that shallow feature, but they're not fishing where everyone would on that feature.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. If people are saying they're catching the bottom, then I'd fish the top. If they say they're catching off the top, I'd be fishing at the bottom.
So you think that basically with that big hit of bait, if I've got this right, fish will come in on it. The normal pack fish, smaller fish, even though some of them are massive because it's France, will be all causing a ruckus and competing, and you want to position something that is away from that.
Again, away from that thing, yeah.
So the big uns can just come in and go,
just scoff
on his own.
Yeah, just scoff without having to compete with the 20s and the 30s that are all battering each other the way to get the bait, and it's all going cloudy and yeah. But that's just different, isn't it?
Yeah, but as you say, like not only is it different, but you've proved it because you're fishing venues where, and you've said it, they're pay lakes, people catch them, they do get caught, but you're going there and not catching the numbers or having the time that other people are putting in, but you are catching those fish that have evaded them.
Definitely. There's only one, I did prove it to myself. Most of the time I caught less than 10 fish every trip I went for 7 nights fishing and using 60 or 70 kilos of bait. But the fish I caught, say in those 50 odd fish, the percentage of them that were big was crazy, really. And then I think on my last trip there, we had some really, I'm not going to go into it, but there's loads of memories there, loads of good stuff, loads of bad stuff. But on my last trip there, that I'd sort of said, right, enough's enough. For one reason or enough. I'm going to fish it. I'm going to prove to myself I'm going to fish it how they fish it normally, or other people. And I've never caught above 10 fish there. And I fished it that time and I caught 19 fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same spots. Those pack fish, basically.
Yeah. But I had the long common at 83 pounds. But it was off the shallow spot. But I fished, everyone was fishing at that time with small baits and they were all fishing at, tight, 2 markers, 2 H blocks, feed in between it, fish on it. Obviously, I would never do that. I'd put 2 H blocks and scab bait everywhere, like nothing consistent, looked like a right noddy out in the boat and fish randomly in it. But I didn't. Marker blocks, 10 foot apart, perfect line of bait at the back, bait at the front, and I caught loads of fish.
Yeah, mate, it's interesting. You've certainly had some results, mate, especially those big ones. We're in France, and I saw a post up the other day on Facebook about an incredible sequence of captures, mate. 3, just ridiculous
so
fish.
From Telliatts, probably get a bit emotional about this, but I met some really nice people from England, and one of these persons was called Michael Murray. Again, he came a bit of an inspiration in my fishing. He caught big fish. He was obsessed with it as well. Yeah. A working man, had a really good job, but his 38 days a week were 38 days in France fishing. He didn't fish in England. He was, he went everywhere. Loads of people know his name, Michael Murray. So I got friendly with him. We used to have many a chats of an evening, like on the texting and whatever about theories, and he used to call me a spawny git, why are you catching this and why are you catching that, and and I used to say to him, one of the times I said to him, I said, there's this fish in there called clover, and it hardly ever got caught. And I set my stall out and I said, I'm going to catch that. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, I'm sure that fish feeds differently to any other fish. That's why no one's catching it. Because if it fed like the other fish, they would catch it. And he was like, we talked, and basically I went there with my friend called Spencer, fished in Twickenham lake. First night I had clover.
What?
And like I said, it was just that I thought it fished differently. So I changed my rigs. I changed my simple knotless blowback rig from 10 inches to 18, 20 inches. And I caught that fish, and I remember him coming around. He said, I don't believe it. He said, what you done? I said, I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I wasn't into my fish. He said, that's clover.
Oh, you didn't even know what it was?
Not at the time. I wasn't like, I knew, I've seen pictures of it, but then he looked at it straight away, and he was anal. That's what he did. Or, he looked at fish.
Obsessed about, yeah.
And he said, he was like that. He was like, he said, what? I said, yeah, I know. But I said, look at my rig. The rig was sort of like that.
Yeah.
But I thought it fed differently. So it's big fish. It's either blow it up, suck it out, and the short rigs, it ain't getting caught because it's a big fish. It was 70 something, and I had it. Is that a coincidence? I don't know, but I had it from the shallowest spot in a swim that wasn't my swim. I had that bit. I'm not, it was, I shouldn't have been really in that swim. It was somebody else's swim. Was on the boundary on it. There was a massive sort of point thing, and I fished right on top of that point. Literally, it was like that. Bait on there. Put a load of bait out, but none of my bait was around my bait because, it would have just rolled off, down 20 foot down into the bottom of the abyss. But obviously that was what I did. And I think I had 5, 6, 7 fish that night on my first night, 250s, 70. Jeez. and I caught that fish. But anyway, going back to Mick, so I got really friendly with Mick. We fished all over France on lots of trips, and he came on lots of our trips because he joined our trips, and he was a really nice person. He then managed to retire early from a civil servant.
Wow.
He divorced or whatever it was. He didn't have no commitments in England, and he'd set his dream that he was going to go and fish Chantecoq. But he wasn't just going to fish it. He was going to fish it. He was going to make it his home.
Wicked.
So he bought a house in the local village. He ordered God knows how many £1,000 worth of like boats,
all the
proper engines. He was a proper angler.
Yeah,
he knew everything. He did everything. He was taking on this mash thing. He moved out there. We kept in touch all the time. He'd ordered all this gear. We were due to go to Telliatts, which he was on. Graviers. I was going to Graviers with him.
Yeah. Luke's place when Luke.
Luke's place. We'd fished that a few times, but I was going with Mick at this time. He had the whole lake to herself. But his gear hadn't turned up for Shanty yet, so he was all keen to go to these other trips because he was obviously living on the banks of a lake. He was doing recons, but he had his gear. He had to get his in Holland, and I kept badgering. I said, "I want to be epic." I said, I'll come over 2 days early and we're going to do a couple of days on Chantecoq, which is laughable, really.
Just a day session.
It was like, and he kept talking about it, and he said, "Oh yeah, the stuff's actually going to be ready next week. They can't get it to me till the week after." And I said, "Well, let's go and drive and get it." And they go, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, let's go and get the stuff and we can go fishing." Bear in mind, this is his stuff. I haven't paid anything for this, and I'm trying to jump on his life experience.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Yeah, but we talked to each other in it. And he drove and got it.
Did it?
Yeah. So now I think, right. So if I tell some white lies and say I've got to go early or whatever, I'm going to jump on the ferry and drive down to Mick's place, and we're going to go shanty for
what, a couple of nights?
No, days. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, told a few lies, white lies. Got off work. Took a sickie, I think, whatever it was, but I was going fishing. So off I goes on my own, down to Shanty, find Mick's place, Big Cuddle from Big Bear, 'cause that was my nickname at the time. I used to give everyone a cuddle when I used to go fishing, and it always stuck. So sat in his felt like a chateau, but it wasn't. It's a big old house. Stood looking at it was about 6 o'clock, probably 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I got there, then looking at boxes everywhere.
Yeah, just stuff
of like inflatables and like vortex engines, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, epic this is, really good this is. Oh my God, what a shock I was in for. Midnight, I think, we finished unpacking, getting the boats blown up and put on a trailer, and then sort of sat there having a rum or something, thinking, "What then? We're going to fish at Chantecoq." Mick was going, yeah. And he was like, and I was more like a kid, sort of buzzing for it, and he was more of a deep thinking, well, I've got 3 life jackets, I've got 2 boat engines, I've got the boat, and I'm thinking to myself, this is obviously a bit more than I think it was, sort of thing. He said, "What time are you getting up?" He said, "Well, we need to get up about 4:30 so we can get down to the slipway for about 5:30 in the morning." I went, "All right, cool, we better go to bed then, yeah?" And he went, "Yeah, no, we're not going to sleep. I ain't sleeping, I'm excited."
Yeah.
The Shanty story started when I first went to Bullencourt, we talked about early on.
Yeah.
We had a day out and we went to Shanty.
Just to see it.
And I went to Shanty, stood at Church Point, the water was out and all the mud, and thinking, oh my God, how could anyone ever fish that? That is ridiculous. Bear in mind, I've been fishing 2 acre ponds, and thinking, oh my God, how the hell they did it? It's a sort of realisation 26 years later, I'm thinking, I'm up for this. It doesn't faze me. I only go and fish Shanty. So it was quite a bit of a moment for me. It was quite epic, really, because I was thinking to myself, well, I always remember standing there looking at the mud and thinking, how, and here I am. I'm going to go and do 2 day sessions on it. Haven't got a clue. He had a map in his lounge, and we'd look around the map on the lounge and said, well, these are likely areas. It's massive.
Likely areas, yeah.
And basically, it's somewhere that had a slipway within 3 hours of boat work to get to where we're going to fish.
Yeah, so you're not going to waste your day.
So we're going to, that's a long way. Yeah. And you've only got to do a day session and set up and get fishing. And then we're looking at peninsulas and points and things like that, just general stuff we thought might hold fish. So we found this point, off it goes, slit away. Nothing's easy about any of this at all. So boats down in the water, slippery, you know, your cars, where to park, get your stuff in the boat. Hour and a half in the boat, buzzing. But it's now 9 o'clock, you know, and we're going across the lake and we're flicking the echo on and where's the bottom?
Help.
Yeah. What's that down there? It's a forest sort of thing, you know, and we're heading towards where we're going on the GPS. Eventually gets there, probably 2 hours later, and we've done one engine, battery, completely getting there. But we've got 3.
Right.
So we've got one to get back and we've got one to when we get there. But again, this is a day session. You know what I mean? Gets to the water's edge, as you can put it, wherever the water was down to.
Yeah.
In this area. Right, let's get stuff out. So chest waders on, stood out the boat. I don't know, 2.5 foot down my legs in mud.
Oh, mate.
So I'm thinking, I'm a big lad, obviously. This is me, I work. So eventually we get to a point where we stop sinking in the mud. But we were still sinking. So I think we had 2 JRC mats that we laid down on the floor. That was base camp.
Nice.
So that's what we sat on with a cup of tea. I will send you a picture of this, of Mick. And so we sat there. I think Mick sat in his chair because he's not as big as me and he ain't sinking. But every time I sit on my chair, my chair legs just disappear down into the mud. Gets the rods out. Done up.
What do you do with the rods? Just
into the boat with the rods. Mick goes and does his thing out in the boat, gets his 3 rods out. He's fishing big waters before as such.
Yeah.
I've got my bag and my stuff. I go to get me H blocks. And Mick goes to me, what the f are you doing? H blocks? Look, you got, you know.
Yeah.
I said, I don't know. I said, but I'm just going to fish it how I fish it. I'm only here for 2 day sessions, you know. It's not about really about catching a fish or even having a chance, you know. It's just part of having a chance. And 26 years later, I'm actually fishing where I never thought I'd be able to fish. And he's laughing at me, putting these H blocks out. Because we've only got 4 hours. You know what I mean?
Get your blocks
out. Well, I goes out to my area as such, what I decided, I don't know, 140, 150 yards. And I'm looking on my echo, looking for my shallow spot.
Yeah, okay.
Like you do. It ain't there.
Yeah, the abyss.
It ain't there.
How deep was it where you were?
35 feet, something like that.
Oh, lovely.
35, something like that. But obviously the water was down, so it was... but where we were fishing, there were some epic tree stumps. Like, we were sat next to, and you're thinking, well, that's probably got to be out there. So I thought, well, I'm going to drop my H blocks where that is out there, so I know where it is. So I don't fish in. If I'm going to be fishing for a few hours, I want to make sure I'm actually fishing for them, even if it's not where I want to be fishing. So I dropped my H block on a load like an underground forest. Went 30, 40 yards to the left of it. Out comes my bucket, you know, like I do.
Stove it in. How much you put out on a rod?
We didn't have that much because obviously the space in the boat and that sort of stuff. I probably put 5 kilo out.
Right.
Which is, you know, but on the spot.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, literally, you know, you've got bucket there, put the rig in the bucket, a big black bucket, tip the bucket up and let it go down. So
yeah.
That's what I do. So we did that on 3 spots all around the same sort of area. So it was 4 or 5 hours fishing. God. It wasn't going to be, it was just about being there. Back to the bank, you know, rods up, sky tips up, sat there.
Proper shanty.
Mick smoking like he does, looking like a tramp he was. He probably, the picture I send you is epic. And we're like, you know, we're just talking, just chilling, you know what I mean? Just sat there, you know, it's not raining. I'm trying to stop sinking, even though I'm sitting on the JRC mat because I'm going down into the mud. Got to about 4 o'clock and Mick said, well, we've got to be off by 9:10. You can't not be off. That's it. You know, I live in the village and I want to fish this the rest of my life.
Yeah, I've got a lifetime.
We've got to go. So we sort of said, right, 5 o'clock, we've got to start thinking about getting back, doing the same thing and getting back because we need to get back by 7, 8 o'clock sort of thing. So nothing happened. Didn't see nothing. Not surprising, really. You know, it's huge, isn't it? Yeah. We're just guessing. And just as we're packing up, we see a boat coming towards us in the distance. Bear in mind, this is 6 o'clock at night. 6 o'clock, and we've got to be off by about 8. Mm. Why is he coming here? Oh, bloody hell, it's the police. It's the whatever. It's not. By this time, we got in our boat, and we're just going out, and there's 2 blokes and a lady in a boat. And it's now probably 6:30, just starting to get dusk.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. Next thing is they start shouting and swearing at us, you know what I mean, in French. Well, I ain't got a bloody clue, my French is shit.
Yeah.
Literally, baguette. That sort of, that's it. Lac. Beer.
Yeah, you know what beer is.
And I always say it in a funny accent, even though I don't know why I say it in a French accent, but I say it in English, so when I'm speaking, it's rubbish. But they're not happy. Mick can speak a bit of French.
Yeah.
And it sounds like he's kicking off with them. But I don't understand. I said, Mick, what the bloody hell's going on? Are we pirates or something? And he was going, no, but apparently they've been baiting this spot for weeks. And I was like, oh my God, really? Because I'm quite old school and I won't step on anybody's toes.
It's a bloody inland sea, man.
Yeah, but you imagine it's an inland sea and these 2 mad bloody Englishmen have been turned up and fishing on their spot that they've fished for.
You didn't to know that, though, are you?
No, but I'd be peed. Imagine putting all that work. They're obviously coming out at dusk undercover, baiting up and going back. And you know who this person is.
Do I?
Yeah. Nash man. Samuel.
No.
Yeah. So this is how I first met Sam and his missus.
Poaching up Claire and Samir. Quality.
So in a little boat, obviously, this is like how many years ago? 20 odd years ago again.
What, and he's swearing in French?
I think so. I don't know. You know what I mean? They're there. And they obviously, or they've got a French person with them. There's 3 of them in the boat. There's him, his missus, and somebody else. And then obviously we sorted it out. They sorted it out between themselves. So we won't be back. I'm sorry, we didn't realise. We apologised, and we would never do that if we knew you was fishing here. And that's Mick become really good friends with them, and I become friends with them. So the next day, we're now stuffed, aren't we? Because
I'd straight back on the spots, mate. I'd be ruthless asthma. I'd be on there.
So we thought, right. So we're back on the map again. We're knackered. By the time we get home, we're 10:30. Everything's been cleaned off, the brand new boats and all the clay, and we're dead. I'm thinking, this ain't fun. How do people do this all every day of the week? Life, this is not my sort of fishing. Where's me home comforts? But we got back home about 10:30, 11 o'clock. Some sort of stupid salami sandwich, rotten sandwich out the fridge because we was drained, but we knew we were going out the next day again. Did get some sleep because I was exhausted.
Shattered, yeah.
Yeah, shattered. But we thought, well, we looked on the map and we went about another 500 or 600 yards down the bank. There was another sort of little peninsula that may run out into the lake. Same procedure, did exactly the same the next day. Again, and got moaned at for putting my H blocks out. Sat there having a coffee. Probably 3 o'clock in the afternoon. My rod's are bow tight on my pod. Next thing is my left-hand rod tries to leave the pod. I've obviously had to take the 8-ounce lead's dropped, and the rod's like that on top of the thing, and I'm trying to get through the mud to get to my rod, thinking catfish or what. I didn't even think about carp, but it was just epic for me to get to the rod, to get to the boat. And obviously Mick's following me to help me do all this to get me out of the boat. Gets out in the boat, and I think, well, I'm definitely playing something.
Mate, the buzz must have been incredible.
I can't explain it. I say it's not nowhere near the biggest fish I've caught, but the biggest buzz and my most memory. And I know there's plenty of people out there think I'm just lucky. Yes, I was bloody lucky, because that's a massive lake, to go and catch what I caught. Anyway, I'm out in the boat. I'm normally quite calm and collective. And I get above the fish. I've done a bit of bait fishing, so I know what I'm doing. I'm playing the fish. Looks to my right. There's the forest.
Oh, no.
So my H block's there. The fish, whatever is on the end of my rods, is 30 yards. Peeling line. I know that if I hadn't put the H block on, I wouldn't have clamped down like I did. I would have just let it go. But I knew the forest was there, and it's going straight for the forest. So that H block was there for a reason.
Yeah.
I know I've been laughed at, but. So I had to clamp down on the fish. Clamp down on the fish like I've never clamped down probably ever before in my life. And thinking, I don't want to be doing this. I might have my, whatever it is on the end of it.
Oh, that's horrible.
But I did. Stopped it, turned it, and went away. Still didn't know it was a carp. And then, just kept on playing it. And I could see Mick stood in the mud now, like that. I'm doing my thing. Up it pops. Up I nets it. It's a mirror. That's a good mirror. Now I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm in bits. Screaming, shouting.
Yeah. Lost it completely.
Lost it, Mick's and going, what? He doesn't know what I've caught. He knows I've caught a fish, which is amazing because he'd never caught a fish from there. And then I remember going, wrapping the fish up in the net, side of the boat, engine back, putting it in reverse. I just didn't know where I was. I was like buzzing, I was like, no, I've got to go forwardly. So the fish nearly got macked up in the impeller, like, because I've gone the wrong way. I've gone to the bank, pulled up on the bank. Mick can see it, and I'm like, mate, he said, what you got? Not expecting what I unfolded. Sort of passed him the net. And he went, oh my God, I want to swear because that's what he said. But he went, Lee, I know. I went, it's a mirror. I said, yeah. He said, it's a good mirror. I said, yeah, I know. And we literally sat there like that for felt like ages, looking at each other saying,
what the actual...
Yeah, what have we done?
Yeah.
And it was a we, because it wasn't for him. If he hadn't bought the boats, and and it's like, oh my God. Anyway, so eventually gets it up to where we can try and weigh it. And you see the picture, there's tree stumps and massive roots, what I mean? And we weigh barred it and at the side of the boat, and it was £56, I think. A mirror. That was the thing. There's plenty of commons in there. Any fish was a bonus. This is the main basin of this is not one of the arms, which is, a bit more commercialised, the main basin. And we're both stood there looking at this immense mirror that's got a black spot on the side of it, and it's £56. £56.
That on 2-day session, I can't give you. I can't give you a comparison.
There's not a comparison, but it's luck.
That's nearly an ace.
All these people that fish it full time, they'll be fuming.
Yeah.
At me, and I don't want to take it from me because it was luck. But I made my own luck, like I say. I've still caught it. It doesn't matter if it's luck or not. I've still put myself in that position. There's plenty of people who've been sat in the armchair at home who would have never done that. 2 days before a week's trip, and we've driven to Holland to get the boats. We've gone this, I've put something into it to make it happen. But me actually catching that fish and that thing in the middle of nowhere and choosing that spot, and then obviously the Samir the day before and all that sort of stuff, and the moving spots. I would have been at that spot the day before. I'd been back at the same spot. I wouldn't have been that spot, would I? If he hadn't come out in the boat. So it was luck, but yeah, I don't mind being lucky.
Mate, that is... Yeah, I don't know what I'd do with that buzz, mate. I think I'd struggle for the rest of my life because you don't...
I'll tell you what
you can't top that, mate.
You can.
How?
Because it's experience. Everything's a different experience.
That as an experience is the most...
Yeah, but there's another challenge out there, isn't there?
I don't know, mate. on 2-day sessions to chop up to Chanty and then pull that out the bag.
Yeah, and I've just had the long common as well.
If it's an £80 rate good enough.
Yeah, the week before. I've then gone to there, and then basically that's the end of the day. We've shed loads more tea, got covered in mud, packed the boat up, gone back, same thing, got back at 10:30, and up in the next morning we're off to Graviers. For the next adventure. Totally different, obviously, commercial lake, 20 odd acres, just me and Mick on it, on a point.
Is this at the time when Scar's in there, those fish are in there?
Yeah, Scar's in there. I've probably done 3 or 4 trips there before this trip with other different people.
Okay.
And not had a lot of success really. I've had fish.
Yeah.
Blake twice. It wasn't an easy lake anyway.
No, definitely not. Boating, all of it, isn't it? Dropping from
all
boats.
boated. But I love boat fishing. It's just a different aspect of it. I like being out the boat, finding your spots. I get obsessed with it with an echo sounder and looking for my
shallow spots.
Looking for my shallow spot. Or, that spot that's slightly different and that stuff. Yeah, so obviously it was a massive buzz having that fish. Now we're going down to Graviers for a social week. We're on a point, we've got a little cabin, we've got the food, we've got all the home, not mud up to me, what's the names, and it's good. Yeah, so I'm on a roll. So
is that how you're feeling, or I don't know how I'd feel.
I couldn't do anything. In my mind, I was on it. I didn't, my theory was working, and I've got a chance of, and so decent people, decent friends knew that as well. Mick said, we pulled up into Graviers. He said, "You can have one of the big ones this week." I said, "No, I can't, mate. I've had how you feel. I've had that mirror." I said, "You catch it. I don't care if I'm blank. You have them all, mate." You know what I mean? Literally, I've got, that memory's there. It's never gonna. ever leave me that catching that fish. So I was at it, but I was obviously on it. I knew what I was doing, and what I was doing was working. And even though I say that fish was luck, but yeah. So with, I don't know, 2 or 3 nights in, not had a fish. I've been out in the boat. Luke was Luke. So obsessed with weed, as in weed in the lake. And
this is Luke Moffat,
Luke Moffat, and his water quality. He was obsessed with it. So anyway, but he was nice, friendly person, and we used to have some good chats. And this all corresponded with my birthday, because I quite often go fishing around my birthday in Europe, October the 13th. Just something I've done. So somewhere around that way, good time of year to fish as well. So I go. So I think Luke's missus has made us a shepherd's pie for my birthday. So he's come round, he's had the shepherd's pie with it. We're talking away, and he's going into one. How he's been rattling the bottom with his chain link fence to stop the weed growing, because he's obsessed with it. Anglers can't fish with it, and it's terrible for the fish and like that. And he's going on and on and on and on. And I'm thinking, it's been really quiet this week, isn't it? And he's been running around with that thing. Well, surely if he's been running around with that chain thing or whatever on the bottom, and it's levelling all the bottom off. So the next morning I made a plan. I'm going out in the boat with my Echo. And I know it is when you're doing work in a lake or you're netting or whatever, you miss spots.
Yeah.
You think you've covered everything, but you haven't covered everything. So I went out in my boat, off the point, to the right. I'm going to find a spot that he hasn't raked. That's why we're not catching any fish. They're not interested in that stuff. He's mullered. He's mullered it with that chain. So I go out in the boat. I go out, and it's flat. Up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, flat. So obviously he's turned, he's pulled the chain, and whatever he's done, he stopped that bit. Bait's going there.
Just in the weed?
There's no weed.
Oh, it's just a ridge, as in he's not flattened the
But he's not
contour.
flattened it.
Yeah.
It's not been mullered and disturbed. It's not. Put my foot on there. 1 o'clock in the morning, we're still up, chewing away, me and Mick, our cups of tea, talking.
Yeah.
Hearing the odd fish, thinking, why aren't we catching them? Right hand rod, away it goes.
On that hump thing.
On the hump. Oh yeah, it wasn't a hump, it was just not a bit of ground that hadn't been levelled or mullered. It hadn't been touched. It was still the original ground. Away it went. Jumps in the boat, like you do at Luke there. Out in the boat, I like my boat fishing. Out of the boat, engine on, flat taps, reeling in as I'm going, keeping in contact with the boat. Gets out there, playing the fish, boat snaking about. Don't know what I've got, feels good. You get to know.
Is this your first bite of the week?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Oh, my God.
You think it's better fish, but you never know, do you, till you see it. It's dark, it's misty, I've got my head torch on. But it's staying, it's fighting well, but plodding, so it could be a good fish. Next thing, this beast of a thing pops up on the side of my boat. I'm not ready. I've looked at it and thinking, oh my God, that is massive. Grab the landing net, try to scoop it. It's gone. I missed my chance as such then at that point, because it was up and it went back down again. But I now know what I've got, sort of loosened off from the clutch.
Yeah, play it like a... Yeah.
Panicking, what am I giving it that? Why did I give it that much? Why has it come to the surface that quick? Doubting myself. But also in my back of my mind thinking, oh my God, that has got to be Scar or the brownfish. It's massive.
What was Scar? What were we talking? Are these 90s at this time?
Scar was scraper 90.
Right. Brownfish smaller.
Brownfish was 75, 77, something like that. I think around there. I may have done 80. I think the Scar was under 90 actually at that point. It had been up to 93. I think it was mid-80s. But
serious.
Even though I've been fishing for these fish, I don't really study the fish.
No.
But I knew it wasn't the 50, it wasn't the 60. That was big. It was. So anyway, so I've loosened off, gone to jelly, eventually got it to the surface again, netted it second time, perfect. Rolled it in the side of the boat. Headed back to Mick's put his head torch on the point. Headed back to the point so I know where I'm going. I can sense Luke's watching me on his CCTV, even though it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I know he's watching me, and if he's not watching me, it feels like he's watching me. So I'm doing everything,
by the book,
by the book that you should do, but you still think you're doing it wrong because it's late. Back to the swim. It's nice depth off the swim. Mick stood there. he looked at me and I've gone. He said, "You've got it." I said, "Oh, I've got one of them." Told you, he went. Anyway, so we got it. Can't remember what happened. Mick took the fish. I put the boat up. I think gone to get the camera. You do all the fish in the mat, pictures in the water. I think we're about 3 minutes in, and I think the phone's gone, and it's Luke telling us to hurry up.
You're joking, really?
So he's obviously heard the commotion, because I'm quite the way down the lake at the time when I've had the fish in my headlight, I suppose, I don't know, or he's just sat there watching it, I don't know. But yeah, he said, don't get a few pictures and get it back in, lads. I said, well, I think you better come round. Didn't want to say that, but obviously he always wanted to see the two big fish. So he came around and felt nervous as anything, did the pictures.
Oh, that must be horrendous, isn't it? Lake owner and a big one.
But lucky enough, it behaved, and I got some reasonable pictures, and it was, But there again, and then from that point onwards, I think I had 5 fish. Mick changed his way he fished at that point and found that bit of ground somewhere else as well. And he had 6 fish in the last 3 nights, up to 62, a new 60 it was out of there.
When yours was brown fish or the...
Mine was the brown fish, and it was £78.12.
Holy
so,
moly.
You have Graviers 78, Chantecoq 56 mirror, and then the common at Telliatts at 83.5. Hell of a 10 days.
Carp fishing completed it, mate.
No. Because it's not about that. I don't go fishing just for big fish. I go fish to go carp fishing. I'm doing what I'm doing now. It's, adventures. My main, I've had some big fish. There's plenty of big fish out there to be caught.
Wow.
I've had some other bigger fish, but adventures. That's what it's about for me now. Memories and adventures. Different aspects. Just,
you love that. I don't know, maybe it's from coming from the old island, mate, and the travel element, but you do like that, don't you? A lot of yours now, you were saying before, we're talking off camera about you sort of structure with this place. You have those trips, those blocks, those adventures, those allocated periods of time.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, they are on places which have got the likelihood, if you angle well, of catching big ones.
Yeah, I got privileged to fish places and got on lakes that were big fish, which was part of half the problem. But you still got to catch them.
Yeah, 100%.
And, there's plenty of people that go to these places that don't catch them fish, even if you get on them. So, and then to catch the bigger fish amongst it. But I see, I'm happy to catch anything.
For you, I mean, that is an incredible 10 days.
Yeah, so Shanty is probably the biggest memory of fishing, and epic, because I was sat on that church point 27 years ago, and then catching that fish, lucky enough to catch that fish. But then obviously I've been other places around Europe and that, and I'm lucky enough to fish a place, Morocco.
Ben Ali, what at the dam?
Don't ask me, I can't speak English, alone Moroccan, so yeah.
Struggling.
But that big bit of water that's in the middle of nowhere in Morocco. And I can honestly say Morocco is probably the best lake and my best memory and the best experience of any lakes I've been to.
Why?
And I've caught in 3 trips 1 crooked 20-pound common. But it's just an amazing place.
It's like Atlas Mountain, rocky, crazy.
You're waking up and it's there, and you're middle of nowhere, and again, sort of a bit like Shanty, but not Shanty. And it's just the clay, just experience, and I've took a group of people there. I'm not just fishing my own people. I'm organising trips, and I'm taking people places and getting them to experience some of these places that are well out of their league. Morocco's probably well out of my league, as such, but I'm a bit closer to it. But epic adventures. Epic. It's not, the fishing was nothing to do with it in the end. Fishing in an area of the lake that no one, I've paid stupid money. I've paid money to go fishing. They've told me to go and fish somewhere. I ain't fishing there. You know what I mean? Back to the thing, I ain't going to do what everyone else does. So I'm saying to one of the local guides that help you out there, I want to go somewhere that's not been fished. And they're like,
come on, you'll catch
Sam Jeffries, another good friend who runs some of the trips and some of the continents.
Yes.
He's going, no. I said, no, mate. I'm like, I said, I need to go somewhere where...
Off grid.
It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And he's like, well, it's all right, but, you're not... The chances of you catching somewhere that maybe no fish or anything like that, it don't matter. So I went to somewhere that they nicknamed something, and one French angler had fished down that way before on one trip or something, or one guide. So that's where I was going.
You're just searching for the old shanty buzz, mate. Yeah.
So they set the camp up for you. And we're on and we're looking out, and the lake is just it's bigger than anything. It's massive. I can't even remember what it is. It's huge. It's biggest lake I've ever fished. It's an ocean, and you can't fish there sensibly as such. But you've got Atlas Mountains with snow on. You've got 30 degrees red clay mud. And you've got a camp. And they've put the guides with his ponies, and put the camp up there. Out in the boat, shallow spot.
Yeah.
Gotta find me a shallow spot, aren't I?
Fair play.
You're I don't know. My swim's 100 acres, so I'm out in the boat for hours, and you can miss it easily. But anyway, it's rained previously, melted a load of the snow.
Okay.
And the lake, whatever it is, 20,000 hectares or something, is rising a metre a day.
Jesus.
So that all the rubbish and all the plastic's coming down.
How much water's coming down?
Yeah, coming off the mountains. Obviously, the snow's melting. It's coming, and so it's just coming up. So you move. You set your bivvy up 4 minutes on the bank, and in 2 days you moved. You've got to go back. Somebody's told me to move. I'm fishing with my lad Jack. I've done loads of fishing with him now, and one other bloke. I didn't want to leave the other bloke because he's going to leave him on his own. So I thought if I just move along the bank a little bit, we'll go. Not so bad. Well, I just didn't feel right there. I thought I could see something showing 300 or 400 yards to my left.
Good eyes, mate.
But I couldn't. But it was just something. So me and my lad moved. Wake up in the next morning, fishless. But I found a shallow spot. Wake up in the morning, Jack's snoring his head off next to me in this little wigwam bivvy thing. And there's loads of wild dogs there.
Is there?
Yeah, it's full of wild dogs, but they love you because you're not Moroccan. You don't kick them. You don't throw stones at them. You feed them.
Yeah.
So this dog, I get nudged in my bivvy by a dog.
Breakfast time. Give me a stroke.
And there's this weird whimpering noise. The next thing I look down, there's a puppy that he's dumped on my bed about, I don't know, 9-10 inches. I'm like, what the? Woken Jack up. What the hell's going on? And the mum or dad, I think it's the mum, Susie her name was, nickname for the locals, sat there, wrapped in a blanket.
Yeah.
Got chocolate hobnob out. Middle of Morocco, I got chocolate hobnob, like my biscuits. Giving it a bit of biscuit. And like, what's, you know what I mean? I don't really get this. But the mum's agitated as anything. Like, and I'm thinking, off she goes like that, along the rock and stone, up over a peninsula, outside. I'm thinking, I said to Jack, I reckon she's telling her something. So we jumped in the inflatable along the coastline, found her, and then, I don't know, half a mile down the bank, there's another little camp that's been set up.
Yeah.
Gets out the boat, goes in there, and there's 7 puppies in an unhooking mat.
So she gave them birth and lobbed them in a nooking mat?
Yeah. So then, they're wild dogs.
Yeah.
She's let us take the puppies. I've put them in the boat, in the unhooking mat, took them back to our swim. We've then made a stone cave for them in the bank. Yeah.
This is a project, mate, now, isn't it?
It is. Love fishing. What fishing? You know what I mean?
Start the fishing.
It makes you built a wall on a rock and a cave with a door, pillows. We've given them the pillows, put the pillows in there, put the puppies in there. Obviously, got some milk and bits like that and that sort of stuff. And we spent the whole week with them. And then before the end of the week, they were coming out of the cave, rolling around in the thing. But the water's coming up in it.
Yeah, oh God,
and I'm thinking, if I built them a cave and that's going to be flooded in 2 days, they're going to drown. And then I'm in a mission. I'm taking these puppies home.
It's gone, hasn't it? This is what happens when you're a carp angler and you're not catching, mate.
Yeah.
You're adopting 7
about
puppies.
The fishing, yeah. So, and then, obviously, the internet's bad out there. You're paying £23 for a little memory card, and I'm like hitting this thing, trying to find rescue dog groups and stuff like that. I couldn't sort it, basically, in the end. It didn't happen. But, yeah, and I'll sit there and I'll talk about it, and, people ask me about fishing and what's the best place you've ever been. I didn't have a fish. I blanked all week. But that's it's amazing. The pictures and,
Yeah, it's cool.
Went back 2 years later with another group, redemption sort of thing. Right, I need to be a bit more sensible this time. I need to catch a fish from this place. Not decide to go fish somewhere. But the water level had changed so much when we went back. Where we were fishing at 30, 40 feet was now out of water.
Right.
So basically it was mountains, sunken mountains, and you were fishing on top of the mountains. So this time I was going on a known spot in a good area, along the water levels allocated me. But I caught a fish on the first night, a 20-pound twisted common that was like horrendous. But the feeling of doing it, catching it from this little mountain top. Again, I'll send you a couple of pictures, and you can see where we was fishing. But most surreal place, I'm fishing on a top of a mountain in a sort of a tent that's the guides have put up, and they come out with a tug and deliver you some food, and you cook your meals, and you pick your driftwoods, and you make your fires, and we made this epic fire on the top of this mountain ready to light at the end of the week as a torch, and all this sort of stuff. But you could have a chef come out to you if you wanted to. Again, I can't remember, it was 120 whatever they're,
Yeah.
And they literally were sat there in the middle of a flooded valley of 20,000 hectares, and this barge comes down the thing, and this chef comes out on the boat, puts a table. We made a dining area in the rocks out of stones. He's put a table on it. He sat there, cooked us some Moroccan food, and we sat either side of the table.
That's mad, isn't it?
Looking down across the thing. Yeah, it is mad, in the middle of nowhere. But I caught this fish. But yeah, so Morocco was a massive adventure, and I've took some, some good people there as well, and everybody says they go back. And then no one's got, I think one of our trips, someone had a 50-pound common.
Yeah, that's obscene.
Which was like, but
it's
crazy
interesting,
memories.
isn't it? Because you fished, let's face, you fished Euroaqua, you fished places like of that ilk in terms of probably the polar opposite.
Euroaqua. I mean, I think I was the second Englishman to fish it.
Well, yeah.
Got invited. Stephen Weir got the first trip on. He brought it to the market as such, and he invited us on through Tim again. He invited us on his first organised trip when he got into Euroaqua, but it was in March sometime. But we were going. Don't care when it was. We were going because we thought at that time it was, it was epic, wasn't it? And if he said no, was you ever going to get on there again? It was too early in the year, but we were going. So me and Tim, from the Isle of Wight, we're driving to Croatia. But yeah, we went there. Again, I think Tim had 27 fish.
Jeez.
But so many small fish. I think he managed a 30 in the end. My first fish was a 62-pound Hungarian mare PB.
That's a kick in the nuts to Timmy boy.
Well, yeah, I mean, you go to that sort. I mean, it's no different to it is now, really. But yeah, I had a 62-pound mare, which was a PB, in my first fish. I think I had 4 fish. One was a 40, one was a 60, and a 20 and a double, and lost a monster. Obviously I've caught some monsters and lost something. My own fault, too tight on the spool, nearly dragged me in the lake, and it pulled. But I knew it was.
That's what everyone says when they hook a real good one on.
If it was a carp, it could have been a catfish, but I knew it was big. So at the back of my mind, I don't care what people say about Euroaqua, it's no different to any other commercial, but it's got big fish in it, a lot of big fish, but you still got to catch them. I know loads of people have done 8, 9 trips there and still haven't caught 90s and 100s, so it's not easy.
What's the biggest you've had out of there?
That's 62.
Is it?
I only fished it once. I've had that fish. I decided I wasn't, like I did, I went and saw Alex at the time and said, pulling strokes really. Can I have a trip next year? Bear in mind, Stephen Weir's the first person Englishman to fish it, and he's got a trip thing. But yeah, you can have one. But he double booked me, so I didn't. Long story short, I never went back until last year. Yeah, but obviously, I've set myself a bit of a target now again, and I want to catch something bigger than my 83.
Yeah, I mean that's big enough. But
so there's not many places you can go to these days and catch a PB. I mean, there is, but there's normally one fish. isn't
Yeah,
there? The late records of it could be a mid-80 or an 82 or an 83.
How many in your aqua are over that mark?
I don't know, to be fair. When I was there this last time, some gentleman caught a 82-pound common next to me, and they reckoned it wasn't in the top 50.
Wasn't in the top 50?
No.
I'm going there next May.
Oh, you're going with Outlaw Pro, aren't you?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, I've entered, so hopefully I might be with you.
I'll rig the draw, mate. You go twice. Give me a shallow spot and I'll fill it in, mate.
Yeah. I mean, I'm there next November, actually.
Well, I mean, that's big fish time. It's all bit. I mean, it's ridiculous.
That's
Some weeks on there, I look at it. I had Dave Levy on talking about his trip when he caught those 100-pounders in the 80s. Sometimes, I think Stu's been out there again very recently from Outlaw Pro, and he's had an unbelievable amount.
It has, but it's still unique.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's done. I don't think Stuart's done about 4 trips now in the last 2 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying, like, everyone thinks you're going to go there and catch an 80 and 100. It done, he's done that. He's done 4 trips and hasn't. So the fortune on bait, it is crazy money, but it is what it is.
Oh, mate, 100%.
But they don't throw themselves on the bank. You still got to catch them. And there's lots of people. We was there with my friend Jordan. I think, what do we have? 22 fish. 50s was the biggest. That's still huge. It's PBs for him.
Mate, yeah.
And I had an amazing week again when I was there. So I can't remember her name. What's her name?
His daughter, Alex's daughter.
Alex's daughter.
Yeah.
And a boyfriend. They're a lovely family. They're amazing. They want you to catch fish. Obviously, it's a business. They make plenty of money out of you. But this is a really good. It is. If you get the chance, I know everyone. Sam, if you heard of Sam Jeffries,
yeah.
Well, obviously he slates me big time. He don't get it. Commercials. That's not fishing. He hates it. But I always say to him, it's what.
It's what you.
No one should slate anything as such, because if it makes you happy, it doesn't matter if it's a commercial like me, fishing for £100 or Morocco or Shanty or a day ticket lake. I'm there because I want to fish. I'm happy. Don't worry about it. Don't worry what everybody else thinks. Concentrate on what you're doing, what you want to do, and make your adventures and make your smiles and your memories. I've met some great people. Justin Carter.
Yeah, legend.
There's some amazing people out there. And one of the best things about what he's done, my son, Jack, the eldest son.
Yeah.
I've shared a lot of memories with him on the bank as well now. You know what I mean? And I'll take that to my grave, you know what I mean? He will. You know what I mean? I did this with my dad. He's fished Telliatts. He's fished, 26. He's fished all over the place for me. Croatia, Sumba, Italy.
In the same way you have those stand-up moments as anglers where you're talking about being on Shanty and those 2-day sessions, they'll have exactly the same story as well.
Yeah, but I'm talking about these puppies on, nothing about the fishing. It's amazing. You don't get to experience that, do you? It's not normal. We can all walk up to a lake and do a commercial thing, and so it's good. But shallow spots.
What about UK, mate? Obviously, you talked about all these incredible
so we've done that. So obviously, I've broadened my wings as well.
Yeah.
I got one of my idols is here this weekend. He's fishing especially Dave Lane.
Is he?
So reading the books at the time.
Yes.
Terry Hearn, obviously, he's in his youth and he's in his day then. Dave Lane, Chile, and all those sorts. There's a charity event called Stoners and Friends.
Yes, Stoners and Friends. Yes.
Back in the day, they used to hold it in Yateley.
Right. Yeah, of course.
Like Yateley.
Yateley, the hallowed turf.
Hallowed turf. Isle of Wight, Yateley.
Yeah.
Natural progression, obviously.
Natural. Clear pathway to carping success there. Yeah.
But Carp Lake Syndicate. So let's do the Stony Friends. We go and fish the Carp Lake.
Yeah.
So we did. But Mr. Hearn himself was mid-project or whatever you want to call it on the lakes, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he was trying to
catch them apart. Yeah.
He was trying to catch whoever it was. He ain't happy.
What, that you've dropped on?
Well, because we've got the charity event. He's targeting these fish. He's got to leave.
It's only one event. How long is it?
Don't
He
matter.
was on it though.
It doesn't matter. But I think he either gets given or he pays
For a place.
to fish the stone, so you don't have to leave.
So you fish Yateley Car Park Lake with Terry Hearn.
Next to Terry Hearn.
Oh, that is the stuff of forget all the shanty stories. I've traded them in.
So I've drawn the swim that's next to him. So bearing in mind, I say I'm quite etiquette and that sort of stuff about my fishing. I'm thinking to myself, do I even cast out?
Is that what you thought?
I thought,
All right,
I said,
where are you fishing,
What
mate?
if I cast out and put a bait somewhere and it's near where he's been feeding?
You catch
Obviously,
heather or
when,
something.
when he's fishing, he's probably got 3 or 4 swims, isn't he? Because no one on there.
You catch heather in front of him.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'll be a hated person in the world.
Be a different book.
Anyway, I decided I'm fishing way to my left. Underarm flicks, you know what I mean? Nothing about it. Don't care what happens. Like, I'm buzzing because I'm fishing there anyway. You know, we're all these big people fish. So that was it. But he had a couple of visitors while he was there, you know, and I'm peering out from my little side window like, oh, so, you know. I can't remember who it was coming to see him. One of the lads down there at that time. The best part about that whole weekend, apart from fishing the lake, is that when I left, I gave him a pack of custard creams, half a pint of milk, and a bit of bacon.
You didn't even go over and chat to him?
Nah.
Left him?
Nah, he would have killed me. What's that prick coming sitting in the swim next to me when I'm trying to catch heather? And I don't blame him.
I'd punish the life out of him.
But yeah, I don't care.
Wow, man.
I've actually sent him a couple of messages in the last couple of years saying, you'd never apply, I don't expect you ever get some messages, but saying, like, you know, if you ever want to come and have a little dabble on my special lake for English fish, I know it's not his thing, it's a commercial, but and said to him, look, I don't know if you can remember, but I'm the bloke who gave you the custard creams.
Mate.
A cup of milk, but didn't cast out, only cast left, like, because I was worried about what you were fishing.
I guess you didn't catch any.
No,
Did anyone catch any?
But anyway, no, they didn't. No. The charity made loads of money.
That's good.
That's my first time I've seen Yateley. So, you know, I've read about it. Like the boys did. But in between there, obviously read some books and that. We fished a couple more syndicates, roach pitting.
Nice, yeah, roach pit's lovely.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
But then decided we were blanking on roach pit one weekend, 3 of us. Well, from the Isle of Wight, don't forget. Most people from the Isle of Wight don't go anywhere. We're blanking.
Yeah.
Long weekend, we've got 4 days away, 2 days here. Let's go to Yateley. So 3 of us in the van, in the Yateley, go to see her dad at the time, John Lockwood. Cup of tea like you always do, and you go in there. They become really good friends. We were driven up there, bought a ticket for, what's one of the lakes? Near the lakes, my memory's terrible.
Match.
Match.
Yeah.
Bought a season ticket for Match.
Did you get a Yateley Anglican Centre mug?
Yep.
Oh, of course you did.
Of course you did.
Go on, a boy.
And then, so we fished the match. Like a fish match. I think we had a catfish and a carp.
Oh, you had a carp?
Nothing big, just a carp, during that, I did a couple of trips and that. No real success, but epic. From the Isle of Wight, this is. Don't forget, little boys from the Isle of Wight, we don't kind of
Mate,
do
that's epic.
Yeah.
Next to Tell on the car park.
We did 2 seasons on there and Rockford.
Oh, you went to Rockford as well, did you?
Yeah, on a little mission. We didn't have nothing Spinnaker. You know, we're fishing like, but it doesn't matter. We're there. It's away from the Isle of Wight. You're doing it, learning, meeting people. Mate, another great friend called Dave Mark Pendergrass. I don't know if you met him on the roach pit and become lifelong friends with him and still go fishing with him now. And I've got him back. He sort of went off fishing. He got addicted to fishing, lost his marriage, and won second carp angler of the year, and just fished. You know, never worked full time and just obsessed. And then stopped, and then got back in touch with him 10 years later, and I got him back into it. And I probably shouldn't have done, because now he's obsessed again. And he's literally like he's in Europe like every other week, or he's retired and he just fishes and fishes and smokes and smokes and fishes. He's coming. I'll meet him at Sumba again when we go in on Friday. Met him, did that, and then Dave Lane, as I was talking about, is coming here. And Chile and that were fishing. What's the complex? Church.
Oh, Horton. We got there.
Got a ticket.
You got a Horton ticket?
Been on the waiting list for 3 years. Me and my mate Spencer. 3 years. Same day, I think we got the email. We got a Horton ticket.
What?
We're going to Fish Church. Isle of Wight boys. We're going.
Go on the Isle of Wight.
Yeah, bear in mind, we both real work. It's like just obsessed. So there's 3 of us got tickets on there. Spencer mainly and Grant. Grant didn't last that long. Spencer's, we're just obsessed. We both got obsessed with it, obviously, from the Isle of Wight, and God knows how much money we spent on the ferries and going backwards and forwards over time, but amazing.
Catch a few?
First session. Here we go. Typical Lee style. On Horton. Don't feel like I should be there. I'm there. I'm buzzing.
What do you mean? Because of the people, the fit? Yeah.
They're just there, aren't they? I can't remember who was fishing at the time. I said, Dave, I think they just finished on it, Dave Lane and that.
Yeah.
I think the first lot of stockies had gone in from fishers, which obviously hadn't messed a few people up because there was, there were stockers.
Yeah, of course.
There were stockers. Walks around. The carp porter that's 30 times like I normally do, but too much stuff on it. But I've got my England towel with me. Made in Britain, Uni Jack.
You're ready.
It's all about that, isn't it?
You're ready, mate.
At that point. Chose a swim, wherever it was, on a point over the far side. Spencer's gone somewhere else on the lake. Done my thing. Found my thing. Got me water. Obviously can't go out in boats, so you're plumbing. I'm looking around thinking, right, what am I going to do here? Right, what would anybody else do? So looked at those spots, crossed them off. We ain't doing that.
Yeah, classic.
Out he goes. Size on this area. Out he goes. Dodgy spomming. Corn and whatever everywhere.
Nice.
Don't care.
Yeah.
No, my baits are not like that. My spots are like that. Odds are out, sat there. Union Jack bobbins are on, obviously.
Oh, this is proper, mate.
Yeah, because of your things. Union Jack towels laid out on the bed chair. I'm sat there, loving it now, But I'm nervous as anything. I don't know why, I just am, you know what I mean, because I'm there. Right, rod rattles off. Playing it away. It can't be real. Literally, it's deep off my margin, really deep off my margin. Crystal clear, comes in. Oh my God, it's a carp. First night, I've got a carp from the Holy Grail. Church, but it's going mental down under my rod tips. I can see it diving and twisting and flicking and sticking like that. And oh my God. I lands it. It was an original.
No.
And I'm like, I don't know what it is. But it ain't no stocky. I know what stockies are like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was original. It was dark as you like. It was like, and it was a fish called fantail, it turns out to be. And I was like, I don't believe this. So I'm sat there. I have my pictures, self-takes. Union Jack around my shoulders. You know what I mean? Keeping it real.
Yeah, keep it realer.
But my alarms and nothing were turned on. I didn't want no one to know what was going on. Literally, I was sat
so no one was around?
No. So I'm not about publicity. I was just there for me to get this thing. So no one knew I'd had this fish.
Jeez.
So there's a few people about. I didn't know who they were.
Yeah.
I messaged Spencer. He went, what? I've had one. No. You know what I mean? He said, do you want me to come to the picture? I said, no, I've put it back. I said, but it's an original, mate. You know what I mean? He's going, oh my God, that's ridiculous. Well, them days you had to go and write in the book.
That's it, the log.
Yeah, it's not like it is now anymore.
No.
We kept the camera in on the pool table. So I'm off, I'm skipping,
Straight in first.
But comes past this swim, Sir Pete Springate.
Oh.
I didn't know. It was him.
Right.
I'm walking in there and I walks in.
What, in the swim?
Yeah, bear in mind I've walked around and not spoke to anyone because I'm nervous as anything.
What, Billy Big Balls as well because you caught one?
No, I'm thinking he will know what fish
right.
is.
Yeah.
So I've walked in the swim, not met him before, and sort of said, all right, they're nervous, 23-year-old and on Summers Lake. And I said, do you know what this is? The look he gave me.
As if you've done that,
Yeah.
old Springate. What did he say?
You've had one, you've had one of my fish, sort of, that look, his eyes were like at me. You know what I mean? And I'm like, now I've gone from 6'1" to 4'2", and I'm thinking, I'm sorry, mate, sort of thing. You know what I mean? I just wondered if you, that's fantail. When did you have that?
Last year.
I'm like, today, you're a new member, aren't you? Oh my God, that was it. Obviously, like rag ball, I was.
Oh, no.
So I thought, back out the swim, thought, I'm not stopping anybody else's other swim. I'm going straight to the.
Of all the swims as well.
It was him. Bless him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sign the book.
So that was me Horton.
Mate, you're just like wild sort of carping Isle of Wight pirates, aren't you, mate?
Yeah, so I had to fish, wrote in the Holy Grail, somewhere, wherever that book is, my name's in there. Tick, you know what I mean? It wasn't done, tick. I think I did four or five more trips that year, and I didn't have another fish, to be fair. And then I got a ticket for somewhere else, and a life look at Spencer carried on. He had a few fish out of there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Dave this weekend because obviously he's one of my back in the day.
Oh yeah,
one of my idols. So
mate, there's some angling chapters there from home. Some of the finest places you've referenced, Yateley and Horton, and then you go abroad and you're still doing it now, which is brilliant. But in amongst all those mega angling chapters, big fish, historical fish, you've also somehow found yourself from the Isle of Wight in North Lincolnshire and to a complex which I can only be described, and I only saw it this year because I went up and stayed at the retreat with the family. It was an immense day, as probably one of the most successful but like multi-dimensional complexes. You've got a day ticket lake, a specimen pool, and these incredible lodges that have got hot tubs that cater for man and his wife, man and his family, or whatever nice stays with really good fishing. How did you go from that to being up here, mate?
So probably fate. Me and my wife decided we was going to leave the Isle of Wight. They were competing away a lot. I was working away a bit. So we started looking for properties. It's fate. This place is definitely fate. So we looked at. She sent me away. I went and looked at 6 or 7 properties that day. I'd given up looking for. I wanted a house with a lake. It wasn't going to happen
Anywhere.
Anywhere. No, yeah, anywhere in England, but it wasn't going to happen with my budget. I knew it wasn't going to happen. They weren't there with houses. So we started looking at places with land for the horses and some barns that I could convert into holiday lets to have a bit of income from home. Okay. Because she was caring for her mum at the time, so she needs to work from home and that sort of stuff. Looked at all these houses. I don't know, it was Boston, all over, everywhere. Swimming pools and ridiculous bits of land. And I was like, what am I doing,
Yeah.
And I had this one to look at in Caister. But it was Westmoor Farm, and it was advertised as a farm with 12 acres of lake, a barn, no lake on there at all.
Right.
I was supposed to be here at 5 o'clock. I was in Boston at 5 o'clock. I wasn't even going to bother to come and look at it. I was going to phone the missus up and say to her,
forget it.
It's useless. It's no good. I've been there. I'm going to check into a pub, have a beer and go home in the morning. But for some reason, I decided to drive over here, phoned the estate agent, lied through my teeth, and he stood there for an hour and a half out of his hours waiting for me to turn up. Just as I pulled down the road, just cutting a long story short, just as I pulled down the road, my wife phones me and says, did you know there's a lake with it, but it's on separate negotiation. They haven't been able to sell the house and the lake, so they're now only selling the house, but there's a separate lake, 3-acre lake for sale for 76 grand. My eyes picked up.
Yeah, here we go.
Don't believe this sort of thing, but not that I've got the money to buy it. Drove down what was my driveway, which was a lane at the point at that time then, down the house. Obviously, the estate agent stood outside the house looking very annoyed because it's supposed to be there at 5, it's 6:20. Jumps out the van, walks straight past the house. He said, where's you going?
There's a lake.
I'm going to find the lake. You're not here to look at the lake. I am. So off for this little woods bit, comes out to this lake. But, oh, bloody hell. Bit overgrown, but, it was quite nice and I could do some of that. My original plan was to put a lodge on the island and have it market as like your own private island. Yeah. But anyway, so I'm walking around the bank. It's getting dark. I get to the back side of the lake. I think I should go up over that bank, see what some neighbour is. Walks up over the bank, looks through like the wilderness and thing. I think it looks like a quarry. I'm not worried about the noise or anything, but I think quarry, holes, lakes, water. Not a bad neighbour to have, sort of thing. Anyway, it was meant to be happen. The pictures that the estate agents had put on the house were horrendous. It looked terrible, but I walked inside and it was lovely. You know what I mean? No wonder it hadn't sold. It was horrendous. The pictures, it looked really dated. It was modern. It had solar heat, solar panels, it had wind turbines. The kitchen was dated, but the rest of it was I was a builder at the time, so it didn't faze me, but I needed something that I can move my mother-in-law into straight away as such. And so I looked at that and thought, I can convert that, I can convert this. Bloody hell, there was a lake out the back. This could work. Ended up getting the house on the lake for the asking price of the house.
Wow.
A bit stressful, 6 or 7 months down the line. Fell out of bed 2 weeks before the end. We had already sold a house. We had a mother-in-law living with us. We had to find somewhere to live. I thought we lost this.
Jesus.
We'd moved the horses up here. They were staying at the thing, but we told the horses. But eventually we got it. It came right. You know, a lot of stress, but we eventually got it. But I'd ordered some fish for the special lake. But I had to cancel my order because it fell out of bed. So...
Was there fish in that lake?
Trout.
Trout?
Yeah, just a few trout. I think they stopped trout 10 years ago, and I was told at the time they're about a 10-year lifespan, so there probably wasn't many in there. But the lake was crystal clear and weedy, so it looked like, you know, there's some potential. But I lost my fish order from Simo because I cancelled it because the house had fallen out.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden it come back through. But bless him, I phoned him up and said, look, I've got the house. He said, what do you mean you got the house? I said, oh, it's all come good. You know, over the last 2 weeks, I've sorted it. I move in 3 days' time because I rented accommodation up down the road, even though I didn't have a house here. So he said, I ain't got no fish, Lee. Oh. I said, yeah, that's fine. I said, well, I don't want to go nowhere else. I've always used you from the Isle of Wight fish. You know, you've always looked after me. Look, you know, I want. He said, I'll tell you what. He said, I've got 12, 13 of sort of more the old original fish. You know, because at that time he was doing more scaly ones.
Yes.
I said, that's fine. I'll
take them, yeah.
Because I said, because I can't get plainer fish anymore.
They're all scaly.
Because they're all scaly. He said, I see what I can do then. Anyway, 2 weeks later, he turns up, 17 fish between 17 and 21 pound, stocked into the specie. Away I go. You know.
Happy days.
The business plan was not opened for a year and a half. So I think they delivered the first lot of fish in the February. Obviously placed another order for 23 more fish to come the following December, open in the April. That was all good. So put the fish in, fed them, watched them, beautiful. You know, crystal clear water.
Yeah.
But money's dwindling. You know, I've spent a fortune.
Yeah.
I've spent the horse. The house has been renovated. I've done built the granny annex and the nan. We've done the horse barn for the horses.
Oh God.
We've converted the barn to a holiday let, which we're going to now rent with the Specie Lake. That's the plan. That's my business plan. Even though it's not lakeside, they can have this, you know. So I did that. It's quite a nice lodge. Got the fish in there. Obviously, my neighbours turns out to be, obviously, the quarry. And obviously, after a few evenings when the quarry's shut, I've gone over and had a snooze around. It's full of brambles and that. But I've got to the lake. It's probably 6 acres. Looks like the lake is. But it's been abandoned for quite a while, the regional park. They're doing fresh diggings up the other end. Bit of stalking, like you do. They shut the gates, no one about. So started hitting some fish. Won a chuck really on the floaters. Just
joking.
Old commons, banana shaped and 2 or 3 pounds, just wild commons. You know, the odd mirror amongst.
So it has been stocked there.
Yeah, it's been stocked. So I'll find if we get time, we'll do that. But so done that. Started making some inquiries about the quarry.
Yeah.
And basically get told you've got no chance. People have tried to get hold of that for years and years and years, and they're not interested. Right. Again, that's like telling me...
You got obsessed.
You're not going to get it. 6 months later, I'm now signing a full commercial lease. A full commercial lease on the quarry.
Right.
I've got an angle. I found an angle into it.
Yeah.
Sorted it. Basically... They wasn't interested. They started getting scared because they had lots of people trespassing on the land, and they was worried about the insurance side of it and something getting done. So that was my angle. I'll take over the responsibility, do the public liability. I'll look after it. If someone comes and drowns on this site, you ain't going to worry about it, and you're going to make some money out of it as well as your extraction rights for the sand.
Yeah.
This was not in my business plan.
No, definitely not.
So that, and now I'm looking at an 8-10 acre lake that needs shed loads of work. Obviously, the fish are pants. You know, they're like banana commons, the cricket bats. They've been wild for how many years. What am I going to do? So I took a chill pill, waited, then suddenly woke up one morning, like I do, I'm going to feed the fish that's in there. Right. I can't afford to stock it or do anything with it. There's no rush. Let's buy 7 ton of maize and feed the hell out of it and see what happens while I'm doing some of the work, like building swims, clearing trees, clearing paths, because it was wild, completely wild. So I did that. Spoke to a few people, Viv, Simon, you know, all the people I've used in the past. fished it again about 4 months later and had some 8-pound commons that looked, well, they look all right. They don't look skinny and fat.
Filled
They're,
out.
you know, outranks it. Oh, you never know. So going to drain it. 5-6 acre lake, drain it this summer, get netting in, see what I've got. So we did that, and they were pants. There was probably 200 fish out of about 1,000 maybe then that we got in the netting, because we obviously missed loads. Yeah. There's loads of skimmer breams that I didn't know were in there as well, which turned out to be a nightmare for the next 7 years. But kept probably 400 of the fish, because they were sort of £8 to £9. I thought, feeding for another year, they're going to be 10 to 11s. Day ticket late, that's fine. I'm not, trying to produce a specimen lake or anything like that. It's just, so we kept them. Obviously, I started a breeding program. I was fishing the specimen lake, bred those 17 fish I didn't know about. I woke up one morning when I was out there with my son, Jack, and he said, what's that at the end of the platform? Looked out there, there's a load of little fish like that. Oh my God. They've obviously survived in the weed and stuff like that. Yeah. I only saw 20 for the summer, I kept seeing them, the same sort of 20. Oh my God. I think 1,200 babies later. Yeah. But we put them into stock ponds and, we started a breeding program, and they've grown on through the years. And I think my own fish now are up to £30, just touching 29s, 30s.
From the original
stocking, from those original 12 Simo fish.
That's wicked.
So, and they're all around the lake we're sitting at now. There's the better ones went in here. And
they're all sparsely scaled, are they?
No, they're
mixed.
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy mix.
Yeah, even though there wasn't that many scaly fish in there, there was
they must have that genetic.
They had that genetic into them. Yeah, so the sandpit is now full blown. I opened 2 years after I moved here at Day Ticket Lake, but did something different than what I thought my business model on there was going to be. I wanted it to feel like I was in one of my commercials in France.
Right.
No tiny swims.
Yeah.
Big swims, looked after swims, socials, double swims. So you're fishing with mates all the time. You're not just fishing single fins. And that was my business model. Send that out. 7, I think at the time it was 7 swims, nice big grass area swims. Did a bit of PR on Facebook and stuff like that. I was new to that really.
Yeah.
But opened up £17.50 a night. God. Seemed to be, people seemed to like, after 3 or 4 months, they seemed to like what I was doing. And, I was fishing for, I think I stocked 2 20s in there. They were the target fish.
Right.
That's all that was in there. So I think
back to the Isle of Wight.
Yeah. But people were still coming. I was still full. So they weren't, I think my mind was saying, well, it's not all about big fish.
Yeah, size of fish.
So they're liking their experience and they're liking what they're getting. And obviously it's now developed into what it is now, which I think, I know it's my place and my boys and my bailiffs and that, but it's one of the best out there, looked after. It's an experience. You come here, you get checked in, you get shown to your swim, you get told spits in the swim, you get bait delivered to you if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You come and take pictures for fish. It doesn't have to be a £30 fish. We're out taking pictures of 20s and 15s or whatever time of night. That's been, and it's an experience. You don't just come here and we take your money and you disappear.
100% you don't.
Obviously, we've expanded to where we are now, which is me being crazy for 6 years and 6 lakes.
But you've dug a lot of these yourself, haven't you?
I brought a digger and I've spent the hours and it's craziness, really. Ask my wife. It's like, I've been, I just it has to be done. And I'm not a clever person, but I'm good at what I do. So I can't put things onto paper, even my lodges. There's nothing. It's all in my head. I'll wake up in the morning and I'm doing this. This is how it's going to be. And it's already designed in my head over 2 nights. I've just got to get that through to people. And a lot of the time, I can't get it through to people because they can't. They need drawings or whatever.
Yeah.
So the easiest way around it...
Just do it yourself.
I don't have to explain to anyone.
So you did all these lodges as well?
No, so the lodges, I've got a team of people that I've got friendly with, anglers, but they now know how I work. My electrician... he'd walk in and there's 2 lorry backs. And then his first time he's like, he's saying, what? Yeah. I'm here to first fix. Yeah, it's fine. Well, there's no walls, there's no ceilings, Lee. What are you doing? It's fine, mate. And it was terrible. But he's done all 5 or 6 now and he knows exactly what it is. It's off to a T. We know exactly what we're doing. It's easy.
But am I also right in thinking, like, I mean, I'll put some photos up of the standard of accommodation, which is ridiculous. But like hot tubs, the lot, big, lovely open fronted views over lakes. You've got the lakes to fish to, obviously, which got mega fish in it. But this is all accommodation wise. What are they? Little hangars? What are they?
This one you're saying now is 2 55-foot Asda delivery lorries.
I mean, that's just unfathomable, mate, isn't it? When you look at it, and I'm looking at it now with a plasma TV and a mirrored fireplace and whatever else.
Underfloor heating
and you think this was an Asda lorry?
Two.
Jeez.
But again, it's like just me. I watched programs. I wanted to build a container home. I can't weld. I can't work with steel, so there's no point. So I thought, hang on a minute. What can I do? And then I come up with the insulated freezer lorry backs.
That's incredible,
and
mate.
Obviously, we're here to what we now. I know what I'm doing, and we produce these, and they just get better and better.
But not only that, I think you said it before about the customer service and that side of things, which I definitely noticed because I travel around a lot of fisheries, mate. I went with the wife and kids in the summer, mate, and it seemed like there's a place with, regardless if you want to come here for a night, fish on your own and be your textbook sort of day ticket style angler, or you want to catch something, £40 was massive regardless, or you want a bit of luxury, there's a bit that you've built for everyone in
definitely,
there.
Yeah, first to see. The day ticket line, I'm proud of the day ticket side of it. Because most day ticket hides are like, there's a market for everything, but the day ticket feels like a syndicate. You get margins, islands, plateaus. You know what I mean? You're not tunnel vision, 23 wraps out to the middle, or you've got everything in every swim. So I think to myself, it's a next step up from a normal day ticket lake.
Yeah,
we just you got to do this. You have to come here and you have to think about it. You got to find. Sometimes you have to find your features. You fish to the margin. You're not just fishing to a baited area. You don't have to spod. You can do bait baits. You can do all. There's everything here, but you can share it with a friend.
Yeah,
everything's double swims. We don't get no aggro. We don't get people leaving their rods. They come here. They book a swim. They know they're coming for a weekend. They get looked after. You can have food. You get decent, clean swims. Like the rats, the toilets. It's all nice.
Well, mate,
and that's all for £30. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, mate, it's testament. It's always busy. It always, regardless of even these lodges that we're in now, I mean, they're always booked up because it is good. Normally, and I said to you before this off camera, if you go to places, you have really good accommodation, you might sacrifice the fishing, or you might have really good fishing and sacrifice maybe the accommodation.
Yeah, that's it.
But I think balance-wise, mate, you've absolutely...
we allow families, we allow dogs, we like, you get serious anglers on the Specie Lake, you get families in the lodges, you can get normal people, single people, families, kids. We promote all that. We want it all. That's what I want. People think I'm competition or whatever. I'm not here for competition. I help every lake out I can. They all know they can phone me, and if I can help them, they will. I'm not. I get advice from people.
Yeah.
And I've learnt stuff, and I tell them stuff, and I'm willing to help. If I see a post and someone's having an oxygen crash and they're near me, I'll phone them up and say, look, I'm not using my 2 spare areas. Come and get them. I don't want nothing for it. I don't expect nothing for it. I'm not here to compete with other lakes. I'm here for my legacy, to do my thing and do my thing. That's me. I'm not here for competition.
And you can, well, we're in a lodge now.
I'm passionate. I'm passionate about what I do. You need to be. I want to give people a good experience. Nothing better than turning up and taking a picture for someone who's got a PB, smiling all over things. In this day and age, all the miserable and all the things going on, that's in my back garden. Yes, there's miserable people, and this is people with blank, but there's a lot more people that come here and have a good time, and they go away and they want to come back, and they say, oh yeah, I've never been anywhere like that. It's spot on.
And also, mate, you can see that there is, despite it being a fishery and despite it having that commercial aspect and clearly like a very flourishing business, it also has that personal touch. We're in a lodge here that's dedicated to your mom. There is all that sort of personal feel and your indelible mark on this landscape with all those personal touches. So that it's not a disassociated place. The owner's still here and with it. Do you know what I mean?
And long may that continue. My son's here working for me now.
Whip him up. He's out there in the rain, mate.
He's out in the rain while we're sat here having a breakfast in the heat. He's taken over. He takes more of the reins and that sort of stuff. And we're finished developing.
Are you? You said you sold the digger to me this summer.
The digger's gone. It's sold.
I'm done. Come back.
I'm going back to me doing some more fishing. So hopefully, you'll sit here in 10 years' time and say to me, "Oh, you've had some more big fish." But it's time for me to chill a bit. But chill for me a bit is not doing 100 hours a week and having mad ideas. I still have the mad ideas, but I just seem to crush them before I walk out the front door. I'll be doing something else. But yeah, like you say, most people, it would have taken 20 years to do what we've done here in 7.
You can't believe you've done all this in 7, mate.
So now it's time to just focus more on the personal touches on the site, looking after customers, doing what I want to do. I like
Fishing
a chat.
more.
I like a chat as well. So, I haven't been able to do that the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Because I've been focused on developing. So, yeah.
Mate, you've done an incredible job. Not only fishing-wise, mate, there's some a lifetime's worth of big fish, but also with this site and what you've done, genuinely, mate, I was so impressed having been here. Yeah, it did absolutely blow me away. I didn't know what I really thought it was going to be like. Alan had been up here, obviously, in film.
It's strange. There's still a lot of people that are first timers here, even 7 years in. They don't know we're here and they only live locally. But we get people from Scotland, yourself, Wiltshire, Gloucester. They all come here. And sometimes it amazes me because I think all those lakes they've driven by, to drive 5 hours to come to me, but we must be doing something right because, we haven't got like some of our competitors. We haven't got 50s and 60s swimming around, but they come here and have a good time. Good experience.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I mean, Al came here and filmed a family fishing trip, and I think that's the first time that it clocked on my radar. But yeah, subsequently, we'll definitely be back, mate. But it's you can only be beaming with pride at what you've created, and yeah, mate, it's an incredible story, mate, from the Isle of Wight through Crazy Carp Chronicles to here.
And we've skipped across so much of it, but because we're going forever, and I don't want to look at you forever, so.
Rude. Really rude. I'd look at you for a bit. Before I let you go, mate, because I'm conscious this has got to get cleaned and you've got punters coming in here, mate. I've got some quick fire questions to end up the podcast, all right?
Yep.
Are you ready?
I don't know.
You can only pick one lake on this whole site to keep. Which one are you picking? I've stumped him early doors.
From a personal point of view, it would be the lake we're stood in now because it's mum. I could never give this away.
Love it.
So it'd be mum's lake, even though it's got some good fish in it, but it's not like the Specie, but it's got, 40s and cheddars and 30s, but,
This is the lake.
I'm sat here,
Got the most
and, I'm talking to you, but all I'm thinking about is my mum, so.
Oh, bless, mate. So the rest of them are up for offer. So if you want to send your offers in, please send them in. Nash, question for you. Drum and bass or country and western? Which one are you picking?
Country and western, I ain't got a clue what drum and bass is. Gives me a headache.
I'll get Alan to send you some, mate.
I know what Dolly is.
You got some long drives ahead of you, mate.
Yeah.
So the country and western might suit you. 3 celebrities you'd take fishing.
Oh, Terry Earn talked about so I can get my custard creams back.
You ain't getting them back, mate.
And there's no one that tells a story like Terry.
Legend.
So, Terry. Who else? I'll spend on the bank with.
Could be outside of fishing as well, mate. Past or present.
Michael Murray, if it's not a celebrity.
Oh, yeah.
If I could, I'd be on the bank with him tomorrow. Obviously, Tim and Spence I see anyway, so I don't need to take them. Who else would I go? I'll take Terry twice.
Terry twice. Terry, clone yourself, mate, and come in here. Yeah, mate, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Would you rather a British record caught on your complex, if it ever happened, or would you rather go and catch a world record carp for yourself? Good question, I thought.
Yeah, very good question. Yeah, a British record on my site.
Would you?
Yeah.
Could happen. A few years. Keep feeding them. History carp you wish you caught and venue you wish you fished.
I think I have fished it on the Stony, but I would have liked to fish for Basil.
Yeah.
I had some friends that fished for it, and one of them had caught them, but I never did it.
You'd have had him, mate. Shallow spot.
So it would have been under that bush, wasn't it? Basil's bush, it'd have been there. I would have been all over it like a rash, wouldn't I?
That's the same spot everybody else fish, mate. You want to give that a miss, mate. Find a shallow spot in the swim.
Yeah.
No one fishes. What's your idea of carp fishing hell?
Square bowl.
Square bowl.
23 and a half wraps to the middle, like 16 other anglers. That's, to me, I'm not saying that that's wrong.
No, but for you.
For me, that is not my idea.
Dues.
I don't mind day tickets at all. I love my day ticket.
But it ain't
you know what I
that.
mean? And I'd go and I'd fish other day tickets lakes, but I don't think,
Yeah?
One, I can't be bothered. You just thought of like doing like some of the lads do, stood there spotting 7 or 8 hours a day, give me a boat.
Done in a minute.
Was my bucket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 10 kilos on the spot. That took me 5 minutes. 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Oi, there'll be a few more. But you should pattern the old black bucket rig, mate. That'll be coming out.
It's already. Last year I started. You could come into the shop and buy a sack of pellets at the price of a sack of pellets, and I'd put it on the spot with a boat.
Oh, you're killing it. Why are you giving that edge away, mate?
That's what literally. So and I don't know why more people don't do it, but But
there might be a few after listening to this,
like,
mate.
yeah.
I'll tell you what, I want to go to Your Aqua next week, mate. Fucking bang, there it is, mate.
Yeah, Your Aqua, you can't do it.
Best piece of advice you've been given?
Stay real. Stay true to myself.
Like that. A secret about yourself that nobody knows?
Oh, my God. You get me in trouble. This is not about being in trouble. A secret that nobody knows about myself.
This is good. He's trying not to incriminate himself. You can see a man here squirming.
I don't know. Can I change that question?
Yeah.
Something that I regret that I shouldn't have done.
Go on then.
Trying to talk someone out of swim after seeing a big fish in the swim. I'm trying to swap, yeah. He's a friend.
Did you get in it?
And his friend. No, I didn't. Oh. And he caught the fish.
Oh, well, it worked out all right then.
And it was... But I saw he went to the toilet and I went for a lap of the lake and I saw this common GM at Telliatts under a bush. He'd been blanking for 3 days and I'd caught 7 fish. And I was telling him, you might as well swap, you come in my swim, mate, and swim, and then I'll go and fish somewhere else. Knowing that I wanted to get in that swim and catch that fish. I did catch that fish from the same swim the following year.
Right.
On a shallow spot under the tree. But his name, Roscoe Batterbury, his name is, and he's still a friend now and he comes to Europe meal now, but every time I look at him, I have to tell people because I feel so guilty.
Wow, he got his fish.
Yeah.
Worked out all right. Final question, mate. Night out on the bank or a night in with the missus? Which one are you taking?
A night in with the missus.
You're an absolute lad.
Because just, she's put up with everything. 7 years of not... I know we as a family reap the rewards out of what I do, but most people want to put up with what I've put up. She woke up one morning and said to me, I'm going to build a lodge on a lake. And then she drove out the gate and saw a lorry back coming down the road and said, Lee, please tell me that's not the luxury lodge that's coming down the road on the back of that Arctic lorry. I said, well, yeah, it's a big green thing. She said, yeah. She said, that's the lorry back. That's not a luxury lodge. What the hell are you playing at?
It's just the Asda delivery lodge.
Yeah. And then look at me now, but,
Mate, I tell you what, though, good job she didn't stop you, mate, because it's incredible, to be fair. Now, mate, you've been an absolute star. Thank you guys for watching and listening. I'll be back soon with another podcast. Maybe not as an luxurious setting as this. And Lee, thank you so much for your time, mate.
It's been a pleasure, mate. You're welcome anytime as well.